Down, they just think they are. Another little wannabe gangster trying to play hard. Down, they just think they are. Another little wannabe gangster trying to play hard. The guys then dip out the ends. Jump in the ride and burn out the rims. Don't stop, don't catch the void I'm in. Now we in the block with the up for events. Skin kept close to you plotting on them with the tits on 10. Back in the back that's on tap, all ready to go and jump in. Down, they just think they are. Another little wannabe gangster trying to play hard. Down, they just think they are. Another little wannabe gangster trying to play hard. Down, down, ding 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 down, ding.
Boom! And my face is frozen. And I don't know why. I think my... how are you, Rand?
Gaz, we are here.
Oh, we are here. And you picked a nice occasion to join us, eh? Nice, sexy occasion.
Yeah, you wanted me on last week, but I said no, next week.
And it's like you knew this was going to happen. You wanted to be here at the crazy time. Why is that?
Because at least there's something to talk about instead of just talking about BS every week when nothing else ever happens.
So that suggests that you knew something was going to go down.
Of course, we all knew the layoffs were happening at the end of the fiscal year, which was this week. So.
But then you kind of knew. Well, let me move this here, chat. I'm gonna fix the shiz, the second camera, while we make some memes. So, chat. Sorry, there's always some technical issue. It was fine. The camera was fine. The moment I went live, it froze. Thank you, chat. Thank you. Before we go, shout out to everyone in the chat. It is going to be an interesting show because unprecedented things are happening. Negative and positive, depending on who you ask. Well, for the Xbox guys, it's going to be overtly negative, isn't it? But we will figure it out. Chat, we are joined by the none other than Randall Thor19, who has been rather quiet. He's been in the shadows, other than Xbox 2 yesterday, where you may have heard him. But we're going to talk about Rand. Rand, before we talk about all the stuff.
Bro. I'm just chilling. You texted me the other day, be like, you've been really quiet, and I just said, I'm just chilling, my G.
Chilling?
Just chilling. You know, I don't really use social media that much anymore.
Yeah.
You know, people will, I'll get notifications when people tweet me or DMs and stuff I'll respond to, but I don't know. I just don't have anything to say. I mean, I do have things to say, clearly, because we did a podcast yesterday for 5 hours, but I just, I don't feel like tweeting, so I don't really put my thoughts out there.
What?
Which is like the opposite of Jez, who always puts every thought out there.
Yep.
So maybe that's why we gel so good, because he's just like, if it's in his brain, he's typing it into Twitter, And I'm just like over there playing Death Stranding 2 or reading one of my books, which I gotta say, I got Gaz to read. Well, I didn't personally get Gaz to read a book, but Gaz is reading. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, bro.
Look, Gaz is reading? Gaz can read?
Gaz knows how to read? Amazing.
I do know how to read. Surprise. I don't know how. It's the reason how I learned is because I had to read loads of Nibs's bullshit. It kind of forces you to learn to read, isn't it? No, I've been an avid reader for some time. But I've been reading a really good series of books. The first one's Red Rising. I'm on the second book already. Finished that in a week, and I was just like, yo. And for me, I used to read a lot when I was younger. I used to have a library in my house back home, a whole wall of stuff. I used to constantly read because there wasn't much to do as a kid. And then when I started work, I spent the whole day reading, like contracts and leases all the time. And the last thing I want to do is look at more words. But this book is a source.
Red Rising is great. Red Rising and you're at the tip of the iceberg, my friend.
I know,
first
man.
book the first book is good, but it is like the weakest of the books.
Can barely hear Rand? Oh wow.
It only gets so much better. They can't hear me? Gaz, what are we doing here?
No, they can. They're just talking. One of them is talking shit.
Who's talking smack? What do you say?
We should be good now. We should be good. I'm looking at the sound levels. Everything's good. You're up. He says, I'm low. Shut the fuck. How can I be low, bruv? I'm looking at the tings, blood. Or maybe line out. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. I can see the levels now. We good, chat. We good. Don't even lie to me. Don't even lie to me that the sound levels are bad.
Audio problems? I mean, that sounds like Jez every single time he joins the Discord for the call for the podcast. It's always something wrong every single time, and I don't understand.
Yeah, trust me, it's long. It should be fine now. Gaz always sounds like that. Huggy's like, did you read my book? I will read your book. I was actually going to start reading it, then I just stopped, and then I started reading Red Rising, and then I was thinking I do need to read your book. It's all sci-fi as well. It better be good. Is it good? Chat, sounds good. Rand was low, but now he's better. I think he came closer to the mic. No, I increased his sound levels. And I think I'm good, but let me know if I'm not.
Weird, because I'm at the same sound levels I am for my own show, so it's be odd that I'm lower volume here, but whatever.
You can hear.
And I'm already up. I'm always up in the mic.
Yeah, I can hear you much. Yeah, it's much better. Yeah. So yeah, I've been reading a really good set of books. Most people won't know what it is, but it is really, really good. I'm on the second book already. It's so much better than the first. Like you said, shout out to Zorka actually recommended that book, and I was shocked. Like,
Don't give it. No shout outs to Zocker. Come on,
Rev. Rand is louder than me, but it's all good. Okay, I will sort it out. What else have you been doing, Brandon? Have you been playing anything?
Yeah, I'm approaching 50 hours on Death Stranding 2.
Oh, how are you finding Death Stranding 2, man?
I like it quite a bit, but I did really like the first game. I think the first game I gave an 8.5.
Oh wow, okay.
So I'm a Kojima fan, right? I like pretty much all of his games, even though I didn't play much of Metal Gear Solid 5 at the time.
I didn't like Metal Gear Solid 5 as well. Oh, that's interesting. Both of us have.
I don't know. Like, I think there was something else that came out at the time that took my attention away from that game. Similar to like Assassin's Creed Origins, because like Wolfenstein 2 came out the same day, and I prioritized Wolfenstein 2, and then I never went back to play Origins.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes that happens with me. I'm very much, I play a single game at a time. You know me, right? So I just play one game at one time until I'm finished.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing Death Stranding 2 since it came out, and I have been doing a lot more extra stuff that I really didn't do in the first game. Like I'm building the roads and building the monorail systems and trying to 5-star a lot of the locations. But I'm also at that point now where I don't know if I want to continue to do that, where I kind of just want to like mainline the story stuff.
Why are you doing a lot of that? I've noticed that about a lot of people are saying that they're doing a lot more of that kind of stuff.
I don't know. Maybe it's like my OCD, where I want to complete something fully before I move on. It's kind of typically how I play my open world games to an extent. Like I try to get everything done that I possibly can, and I always try to do the most of everything in a game that I can possibly do. And there are some really cool weapons and things that you can get by 5-starring outposts. Like when you bring them onto the chiral network, you'll get something. Like for instance, one of the first places will give you like a tranquilizer sniper rifle, which is really cool because then you can sort of start playing the game little covert ops when you get into combat. But the thing with
Solid style.
Yeah, well, but the thing is like the enemies will hear you when you shoot the gun and they'll rush you. However, if you get that same outpost up to level 5, you get a silenced tranquilizer sniper rifle.
Oh, okay.
So that means you can take these people out and nobody can hear you. And considering that they don't really make a lot of stealth games anymore, and stealth was one of my favorite genres, when I do get into combat, even though you can play the combat any which way you want to play it action with machine guns and shotguns, you can do that. You want to play action but with melee, with your fists, with twin rods, like you get these like bow staffs that you can use, you can do that. But I prefer to kind of be stealthy, like Big Boss or Sam Fisher. So I kind of scope a place out. I use my silenced tranquilizer rifle to take some peeps out from far away. I move in. I got a tranquilizer pistol for up close. But now I also just got a silenced assault rifle, which I put in a single shot, and I get real close to an enemy and I pop them in the head and they go down. So it's like I get that whole stealth Metal Gear feeling when I go. But then sometimes you just want to let loose and you just go crazy and you just like whip out the shotgun with the grenade launcher and start ripping people apart. But
then don't you have to kind of like sort their bodies out? And then
so by default the game has the safeties off. Like you don't kill anybody in the game. You can kill them. They don't really tell you how. There is a button combination to turn off like the safeties to make the gun lethal.
I saw that someone did that by mistake by pressing L1.
Yeah, but no, like you just sort of knock them out. so nobody dies.
Mm.
But game looks great. Story is very interesting. Although you gotta love the way Kojima names his characters. Heartman, who's got a heart issue. Die Hardman, Dollman, who's a doll.
Yeah.
Like it's just Rainy, who's a person that anytime she steps outside, the timefall rain falls around her. Her name's Rainy and stuff. Like it's
very literal.
Like, yes, Kojima.
It's an American thing. It's a sidewalk. You walk on the side. You can Americans can talk. I went to an event with Kojima there and Jeff Keighley.
I did. I saw your tweets or your posts about it.
It was a really good event. Kind of increased my respect for Jeff Keighley. It's easy to hate on personalities online, and I'm guilty.
You're guilty of that, sir.
That's how I breathe.
You're super guilty of it.
Yeah, but when you I've been. When Jeff Keighley did the Game Awards, and he was sharing him doing the edits for their trailers. They're really good. They're like, he's really talented. Like he knows, like he's a very talented man. And I was like, okay, hold on a minute. I thought you'd have palmed this off to another team to do, but he's doing it. You got to give him respect, even if he is a pony. Let's be honest, he's a pony. But I got to give him respect. And when you go to that event with the great band playing and really good vibes, I managed to get into the VIP upstairs section. Don't ask me how, because I don't look like everyone else. It's just like weird. They looked at me like, I want to check your bags. I'm like, and then they're like, are you with the developers? I'm like, yes. You have to blag this stuff, and I just got in, and we're standing next to some other guy. Darge was mentioning, he's like top developer guy there, and I went outside, right? So we went quickly. I wasn't there for too long because Darge was hungry, so was I. And we went to the merch store to get some merch quickly before all the crowd of people came and bought a couple of shirts. And then when we were stepping out, Norman Reedus comes out from the side and you're having a cigarette. And Darge goes, can we take a photograph? And the security guard is like, no, you can't take any. We're like pretty chilled. We're like, all right, okay. And then Norman Reedus comes and looks at me and he just looks at me. He's like, sorry, man. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, he pointed at the guard and just like kind of chill out to the guard. And if we stood there for a little longer, we could have got the picture. I'm like, I don't want to be a dick to these guys are coming out having a fag. Sorry, that means.
Excuse me, guys.
That's UK terms, not Americans. It means a very different thing in America. I was having a fag.
Trying to get yourself canceled here in America, huh?
America. That's so stupid that the Americans have now started to train me with their wording. So I'm like, oh no, America. Can't say the word fag. No, he was having a fag. And they're just like...
Gotta watch out for YouTube.
Oh yeah, true. Because YouTube doesn't discern the difference between cultures and languages, yeah? But yeah, so that happened. He was really chilled. I'm pretty sure he was a bit high as well, because he was on stages being weird, and he was really jolly, and he was outside as well, he was a bit jolly, or maybe he's just a happy person, I don't know, but Death Stranding 2. Better than the first one so far?
I mean, I think so, because I think they put a lot of quality of life improvements in the game from the first. I mean, there's still a lot of going through menus and stuff or holding the D-pads, but it's definitely streamlined in a way where they took the lessons and the feedback of the first game to improve how it feels in the second one. So yeah, I would definitely. Well, I'm only halfway through.
Okay.
So we'll see how I feel at the end. We'll see how the story progresses. Because obviously that's paramount in a Kojima game.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. Which is why I didn't like MGS5, because it relegated the story.
Yeah, plus I always heard MGS5 is like missing a complete act, like a quarter, like
really?
You know.
Oh, I actually
yeah, that's what people always say. Like it's like missing an act. But yeah, but you haven't played Death Stranding 1.
I'm playing Death Stranding 1 right now.
How far are you?
I don't know which chapter I'm on. I'm on the one where this is not going to be a spoiler because by now there's a second game coming out. So come on, don't be unreasonable. But the one where Mama has to let go of the baby. Basically, you cut the umbilical cord of the ghost baby off and have to say goodbye. I think that's.
So what chapter is that?
I think 5 or 6. There's like.
Okay.
Chat. Do you know what chapter that is, chat?
Yeah, okay. Because there's a lot of people that drop off the game after chapter 3.
No,
Because
I'll
the
pause
beginning
that,
of the game, there's the beginning of the game where it's like heavy on cutscenes, heavy on story. You get the deliveries, and then chapter 4 or chapter 3 begins where it's like the gameplay loop,
Oh, okay.
where it's kind of just delivering and doing all that stuff, and the story is like interspersed here and there. And I noticed a lot of people do fall off the game at that point. But yeah, so you're at chapter 6. You don't really have. I mean, I think there's 12 chapters in the game, and like a
Yeah.
couple of them are just like short. So you're probably not that far from
Yeah.
completing it.
I mean, I'm really enjoying it. It's just one of those games I can't play for ages. I have to be in the mood because it is a long, enduring, kind of laborious thing. It's an arduous game to play. It's kind of draining in a good way, but you have to. I have done, bro. I did the last mission. I had to go miles. I had to go past so many BTs, so the enemy freaking bases. And then I left one of the containers back in the freaking base. I was like, yo, you are taking the piss. I went up a snowing mountain and climbed down, barely, didn't have any ropes or anything at that point. And I was like, holy shit, I've left one of the containers in the back of the base. Dude, I was so angry. I was physically pissed. I was like, what? You idiot. What did you leave
Just
the
like
house?
reload a save?
No, I went
Or did
back.
you walk all the way back?
I went all the way back. I went all the way back because I didn't want to. I was just like, I went all the way back, and then I did it again, and it's a really amazing experience. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. You
No.
have to understand that. Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you just. I don't think you can jump into Death Stranding 2 without really knowing about Death Stranding 1.
Yeah.
And I don't think if you didn't like Death Stranding 1, I don't think Death Stranding 2 would change your mind.
Yeah.
Realistically, it's still like the same formula, just more refined, so it feels better to play.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm enjoying myself. So, it's weird because I find myself just doing deliveries to all different places, leveling them up to 5 stars, and like time just gets away from me. Like I'll start playing at 9 p.m. or something,
Yeah.
or 8 p.m. and before I know it, I'm like, okay, I did all this stuff, and I look at the clock and it's 10:30. I'm like, how did 2.5 hours just pass by?
That's a sign of a
It
good game.
didn't feel like it. You know what I mean? So
That's a sign of a good game. That
Yeah.
shows that this game is amazing. I know. Death Stranding 2 was the reason I played Death Stranding 1. When they showed that trailer off, I was like, "Yo, this game looks amazing. Am I missing out? I need to play Death Stranding 1." And I started quite late when it came out on the Xbox. And it was a beautiful game. And I'll carry on PC. And it's just an incredible experience. Just very different. And I'm taking my time with it. But I do want to play it. I'm in this very horrible place where I'm in mid states in multiple games. And my ADHD can't help me stick
what
to one game.
what other
I'm
games are
mid-state
you in?
Clay Obscure's Expedition 32,
Oh
which is
my-
incredible. Incredible.
Okay.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, when I play that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to stick with this game. Then I'm just at near the end of Indiana Jones. I haven't completed that. There's not much left, I don't think, of that. Then I started Black Myth Wukong, which is incredible game. And I'm like, I have to stream that. I have to complete Elden Ring because I'm going to have to start from fresh for the third time because now I'm on PC. Then I got Death Stranding. I think I mentioned Death Stranding. And then what else? I've got something on my desktop. But if I
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead Redemption 2, which is going to take ages. All
God of
these
War
single
Ragnarok.
I don't know if I'm going to go back to God of War. God of War Ragnarok looks kind of crap. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't really.
You just got to pick one game, finish it, and move on to the next game. You can't just.
I know. Everyone says it. You, BG, all of you guys have been grilling me, and right now I'm not completing anything. But I need to stick to it. I just love it. Like if I'm in the mood, and I play Death Stranding, it's such a nice feeling. It's more a laid back experience. Then sometimes I want something like more. And I was playing Expedition 33, and I was like, yo, this game is incredible. And then
Where are you at in that game?
I just
Act 1, Act 2.
No, past Act 2. I think what's this? What's that weird? So basically, you go to a train station, and you meet. I think you meet your final character. This is a weird guy. Monaco, that's it. I just beat him, and he's quite an interesting character actually, Monaco.
So you're basically in Act 2.
Is that Act 2?
Okay, yeah, it's Act 2.
Oh, it's Act 2. Oh shit! How many acts are there?
I mean, how many acts are usually in a typical movie or play?
But this is like Death Stranding's got 15.
Well, they're chapters. They didn't call them acts, but usually how many acts? I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm just saying. What is the typical act structure of a movie or a play?
I don't know. 3 acts? How many? 5 acts? I don't know.
Yeah, typical is usually 3 acts.
Oh, okay. So am I halfway through? Is it beginning? Quarter?
I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil anything for you.
Okay,
so.
don't say that. Don't say anything. That game cannot be ruined for me. So I need to stick to one. You know, it's getting ridiculous at this point. Plus with work and stuff, I need to stick to one game. There's 3 acts. Okay. There's usually 12. What? No. Grazers unite, Gaz, don't let others stop your grazing. You'll finish them eventually. Yeah, okay, so...
No, he won't, because if he's grazing, more games will come out that he wants to play, and it just adds to the pile. You cannot graze
you know what?
if you want to finish stuff.
Absolutely right.
If you never want to finish anything, yeah, go ahead and graze and just play to your heart's content and never finish something. But if your goal is to get to the end of something, you can't do that because there's always new stuff coming out that looks interesting to you, and it just piles on.
I've got so many installed now. I've got so many. The Steam sales, I've installed like 5 games more, and I'm like, you're right, man, because it's starting to stress me out a little bit. I'm like, bruh, I need to complete these games. I need to complete these games because I'm just spending my time playing different things, which is annoying. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Rand.
Gaz the Grazer.
Gaz the Grazer. That's a sick name, actually. The games aren't going anywhere. There's no time limit, Tarnish. You're right, but at the end of the year, I want to be able to say, look, I completed quite these games and then actually move on, because speaks volumes of just me generally anyway in everything that I do. I was reading.
But there are time limits, though.
What do you mean?
Because I could die tomorrow.
Well, don't say that. Why you have to be?
Everybody's got time limits, bro. You don't know. Tomorrow's not guaranteed for any of us.
Yeah. That's a dark way of looking at things, but true. Well, poignant indeed. It is true. I do want to finish the totality of my experiences, and I feel like, it's getting a bit silly now. So I will do that. You're saying play Indiana Jones, says Squash? Maybe then.
I mean, if that's the one you see, I would say take the one that's you're closest to completing, and then knock that out. Get that under your belt, feeling good. Yeah. And then go to something, the next one that you're probably closest to finish, and then knock it out. And then rinse and repeat, because before you know it, you're going to be in the fall, and you're going to have like Borderlands 4 and Outer Worlds 2 and Ninja Gaiden 4, and I don't know what else is coming out this fall that you Mafia,
Ghost of Yotai, Mafia 3,
Helldivers 2 on Xbox, Ghost of Yotai, right? There's Helldivers 2.
I've got it on PC anyway. I don't think that's all that great, but it is what it is. But before we talk about Helldivers 2, Rand, let's first talk about the ugliness in the space.
Ugliness.
You
don't talk about Colt like that.
Oh shit, sauce! Colt's in there in the chat. I bet you he's there just stewing. Hi there, Colt. I hope you're well. Colt's not happy, and
Colt. When is Colt ever happy though?
That's so on point. His emotional state, but right now it's been like his channel's doing well, but then the bad news comes and it really impacts him, and I don't blame him right now because it's a darker time for Xbox. There's positives in one way, but it's just the way generally. We'll talk about the Helldivers thing later, but we have to get the ugliness out. Bro, we knew there was going to be layoffs, but we didn't. Well, you knew before anyone else, but
I didn't know. I mean, there was rumors that it was going to be pretty bad, which ended up being true. But I didn't know what was happening. People were speculating about how many studios might be closed or how many games might be canceled or the ins and the outs of those stuff. But, I think it might have been worse. I mean, it depends on who you ask. Some people will say, "Oh, wasn't as bad as I thought it would be." Some people will be like, well, "This is way worse than I ever could possibly imagine." But then there's like, because I've gotten messages from people that were laid off, and
Oh, really?
like it's devastating to yeah, man. Like I read some of these messages, and it puts like the layoff situation in another perspective of like, yeah, this is about hardworking people that lost their job for whatever dumb reason Microsoft and Xbox are chasing or trying to do. And then it's like, yeah, look at 9,000 people across Microsoft just for whatever reason Satya and Amy Hood and who else out there decided. It's like, you're no longer with us. You know, enjoy the rest of your life. You don't have a job anymore. And some of these people just, they're clueless about why they were let go, because it wasn't performance-based cuts.
No.
It was just, we need to cut costs and get rid of this stuff. And it's awful because corporations don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about me. They don't give a shit about anybody in chat. They don't even give a shit about their own employees.
Yeah.
They're just figures in an Excel sheet about here's employee number 1020 and here's how much they make and here's their benefits, and it's like, how much can we save? It's just like cold, heartless corporations that run the world, and they couldn't give a crap about anything else other than shareholders and the bottom line and making money. That's all that matters to them, and it's pretty vile. It's pretty disgusting stuff.
It is.
You know, when you read how people feel and how much they put themselves into their job and how it impacts them. And I mean, that's like the upfront stuff of like the human element that largely gets overlooked when things like this happen.
Yeah.
And then there's like, we could always look at it from the business realities or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty awful, Gaz, you know?
It sucks, man. You know, it's I've got a dark sense of humor, so when that shit happened, I was making jokes on Never Wild and this and that, but that's just basically my way of dealing with things. I wouldn't say this if it wasn't true. I do care about that, because it cannot be a nice thing to feel. It's just a horrible, oppressive environment, and these are creatives that I value as a person. We as gamers should, because they work hard to give us the games that we want. But, you know, ultimately they just die. And, you know, Everwild is another example of it. But I think in between all of that, we have to factor in some failures here. We can't just blame corpos on this. And my first gut instinct is always to blame the corps. I have no love for the leadership at Microsoft and Xbox, because ultimately they're vicariously
I thought you
liable.
and Satya were homies, bro. You're on a first name basis with them.
Satya, that prick. Yeah, I don't give a shit about that guy. The first person who needs to get I hope he doesn't get a single dollar in his bonus, but the opposite is probably going to happen.
Well, I don't know if you've looked at Microsoft's stock price.
But they keep going up.
It keeps on going up, so it doesn't matter. The shareholders are happy, and that's all that matters, and the stock price is moving.
That's crazy, man. That's ridiculous.
I mean, that's all they care about, bro. That's all Microsoft cares about at the end of the day.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I don't know.
Did we bring value to our shareholders?
That pricks.
You know?
Yeah. Screw them, man. But at the same time, yeah, look, there are some things that they have to contend with the reality of. Everwild is one. Rare has been working on this for ages.
Quite a while.
Years. Phil Spencer just a few weeks ago was talking about how he went on Xbox Era, like in Feb or something, and said, "What's the game that you're excited about the most?" And he goes, "You know what? Everwild." And then you could see what's his name, special, all the Xbox Era guys' reactions, right? And you've got a special go, "Oh yeah, yeah, thank you, Phil, thank you, Everwild, oh yeah." And it was just like, oh god, and then bam! How can Phil Spencer go ahead and say, this game looks really good, and then not know? Because you wouldn't have made that choice had he had any indication that they were about to cut this. So this was a very recent decision to just brutally cut them off. And we're understanding, and they're telling us that the reason why they've made this is AI, or to bolster their AI initiatives they've gone ahead and done this. And if that's the case, it's disgusting, which is most likely is the case. And it's
yeah,
bullshit.
I mean, Seattle Times, I think, were the first to report that, right? A lot of the cuts were made because Microsoft is deathly afraid they're going to lose out on the AI race, which seems to be the next, I don't know, battleground, and that they're losing ground to Meta and Google and all this AI stuff, which I honestly I can't stand AI, guys. I can't. Maybe it was a little cool in the beginning when someone would use it in the thumbnail or whatever, or you'd see a video made by it. But it's so prevalent now. It's all just a bunch of just slop. I mean, I hate using that word.
But an AI.
It's all AI slop and garbage, bro.
Come on, man. My last video, it made a really good rendition of Port Rock.
Yeah, but still, you look at it and it's like, it's AI. You know?
Exactly.
It's the
But AI gave us nibs. How can you not be happy with that?
True. How many people on Twitter now be like, when they get in an argument or whatever and they're rushing to be like, Grok!
Grok, yeah.
Grok.
It sounds like
and then the AI is like wrong half the time. Or whatever.
It's like, I love that Grok sounds like someone hawking up. Like, Grok! Which is funny because Elon Musk is like that. Yeah, it's true. AI, and a lot of people don't realize is AI is literally kind of killing the planet. My friend Jake was telling me that the power consumption required to run these farms is insane. Like, insane, chat. I did not know this. I was like, what? Like,
yeah, we're destroying the planet all for some memes.
It's worth it. No, but yeah.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's terrible. I you know, that kind of tech, I'm not against the tech. It's how the tech is utilized. And big corpos like Microsoft, worst of all of them, Microsoft, they have no real sense of responsibility. They don't give a shit. Like you just very expertly summed up. All they really care about is the bottom dollar, their shareholders being happy. And they're such pricks. And I feel like before there was a branch within Microsoft, the Xbox branch, that really had a soul and spirit, run by people like Jay Allen and others who would fly against the grain of Microsoft. And because Xbox and gaming generally has become so prevalent and so important, especially for Microsoft, it's a catch-22 situation. It's now come to the point where it's now subject to greater scrutiny and these kind of heartless cuts. And Everwild was one of those. I will say this though, Brand, Everwild, I don't know what Rare were doing. I spoke to someone who's a developer who actually hired some of the ex-staff, and I think I mentioned this on Colt's podcast. I'm going to try and find it. I almost read out his name by mistake, and that would have, or the where he works, and that would have mugged me.
You would have been in trouble.
I would have been in trouble because I'm horrible.
Well, you wouldn't have been in trouble, but they would have been in trouble.
Yeah, but then that would have been a horrible thing to get mugged with. But he says, where is he gone? He goes, he basically said Everwild was actually shit canned a while ago. I don't know why they reported it as cancelled. I literally employed multiple staffers from the team last year. I almost did the same thing again. And I'm going to put X. By the way, the people I know who worked on it for 4 to 5 years still have no fucking idea what it was, like at all. Like one guy described it as a hint of a dream you can't remember whilst having a hangover. So I replied, art director led? And he said, yeah. So that kind of shit with Everwild, and there's also a middle ground there with the developers. What is going on? Like, what were you doing? Like, you've been we know for a fact, Rand, that when they were working on this game, God knows when, years ago, they had to like restart because they didn't know what the game was. They said this is out public. Like, we need to figure out what the game was. So we kind of went back to the drawing board, and then they never figured out for 5-6 years. So what does that mean, Rand? Rare is, they've cancelled Everwild. Are they going to be just a Sea of Thieves support studio for the rest of their days?
Well, that was the thing I brought up on Xbox 2 yesterday.
Yeah.
Was I said, okay, we're Rare, we're working on Everwild, but Sea of Thieves is out there currently making money, doing good things. They probably potentially still have another platform to go to, which is the Switch 2. Still surprised it's not there, but I think it will be there in the future, whether it's later this year or next year. But Sea of Thieves ain't Fortnite, right? And there's no guarantee in the live service space. I mean, I remember when people were throwing parties over how well Marvel Rivals was doing. And I don't know if you've seen the recent concurrent numbers for Marvel Rivals.
No.
But
They dropped?
not doing so good anymore.
Really? Oh, wow.
Go check it out. Just as an aside while I talk here.
Okay.
But so you have the studio who currently has a hit with Sea of Thieves, and that's going to keep them afloat for a while they make their next game.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be Everwild. And who knows what the game is? It was revealed in 2019, and then had a second trailer in 2020, and then they went quiet. You heard the reports about them not even knowing what the gameplay loop was or what it was. It was rebooted, and they put some long time, like, rare legends on that game. Like, I forget the name. I think his name Greg something. Louise O'Connor was on it, and she had been at Rare for like 21 years. So it was like there was a sense that the right people are on the game now. It's going to come. And every single year, people predict it to show up at the Xbox Showcase, and every single year, it doesn't show up. And then this year, it was like, okay, Everwild's got to show up this year, and it doesn't. And you're sitting there like, well, it's been 5 years at this point. What is going on? What is taking so long? Is the game in trouble? Do they still not know what it is?
Yeah.
And then, like you mentioned, boom, Everwild canceled. Those legendary developers that were at Rare, they're gone. And it makes my, outside of thinking like, okay, well, if we're canceling projects because they're long in the tooth and it's like we're still years away, if we need to cut costs, okay, that's an easy mark to make, right? Like Everwild still needs 2-3 years. Well, we don't got 2-3 years, so let's cut it. But then you think about, what does the future of Rare hold?
Yeah.
Because Sea of Thieves not going to last forever.
No, it's not.
Do they have a third game in development? Because I know there's 3 barns there, and each of the barns are making a game or whatever, or like one barn's on Sea of Thieves, and the other barn was supposed to be on Everwild. So is there another game that they're also currently working on that they can get up to speed and release in 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
I don't know, and it makes me curious about the future of Rare, because I don't think they can just live off of Sea of Thieves forever. And considering how long game development is now, especially in the AAA space, among like bloated budgets and all those other things, it's like
I think that's going to change. By the way, this whole thing about bloated
it pretty
budgets,
much has to, doesn't it?
It has to, and starting to see.
Did you see the rumored Battlefield 6 budget?
Bro, that's one of the last few bastions.
I didn't even know if that was a topic, but did you see that?
Yeah. In fact, actually, we can do a little segue into that. How the hell does that actually work, man?
How does it make you feel? Because I'm super excited for Battlefield. When it came to like the shooter franchises, Call of Duty and Battlefield, I was always a Call of Duty campaign guy.
Yeah.
But I was always a Battlefield multiplayer dude. I love Battlefield multiplayer.
Same.
Right? I didn't care for the single player. But so if I were to pick which one I wanted, it's the Battlefield multiplayer to play with friends. And Vince Zampella took over the franchise, and that dude doesn't miss. Like his record is impeccable. Going back to Medal of Honor, to then Call of Duty, to Respawn and Titanfall, like he's got a record behind him that's like I don't miss when you know what I'm saying. So it's okay. Who better to give Battlefield 2? But then you see that they want 100 million players when the biggest Battlefield's only ever hit like 28 million.
Yeah. And
then you hear the budget's over $400 million, and then you think, oh crap, this is EA after all.
Yeah.
And it's like, if this game doesn't hit like they want it to, like it still could be a success. Maybe it hits 40 million players, but a budget that's approaching $500 million.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, is there like a reality where this is the last Battlefield if it doesn't do what EA corporate wants it to do? And that makes me scared, because Battlefield's never been as popular as Call of Duty, even in my opinion that the multiplayer was better.
Yeah.
So they have like 6 studios working. They got a studio like dedicated just to the campaign.
Yep.
They got one for the multiplayer, one for the battle royale, like one for like the driving vehicle. There's like 5 or 6 studios working on this, and I'm just like, are we gonna see articles next year after the game launches about how like Battlefield didn't reach EA's expectations and stuff? I'm kind of a little worried on that one, guys. I ain't gonna lie,
bro. I have no guarantees for Battlefield. I don't like the fact that they've the custom class thing that's kind of gone now. So every class can have every weapon. I don't like that. That's not old school Battlefield. I don't like this whole we want to have 100 million players, like arbitrary kind of pie in the sky number there. And I'm like, well, it just sounds like one of those things. Like, yeah, I want Ana de Armas to sit on my head, but that's not going to happen. It's like, I have to justify that. So it's like, what's that? What's that about? And then you've got what's it called? Oh, my missus didn't hear that. And then you've got she's like,
she'd understand. She'd probably say like, oh man, she'd probably pick some dude that's super hot.
Yeah. You're allowed to say one. You're allowed to say it, babe.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen with all of that. And I'll be honest with you, if you're talking about £400 million budget or dollars budget, and feel free to disagree with me here. I have played the Battlefield games. This seems like such a conservative upgrade in terms of, I've seen that additional destruction. It doesn't look as good as the finals, nowhere close. Obviously, we've only seen like the teasers and stuff, and people have leaked all the alpha stuff. That doesn't look all that great. It looks like Battlefield 3 and 4, almost down to the UI and everything. Nothing screams like this massively ambitious title, Battlefield title that is doing something from the ground up that is so crazy that it justifies that kind of budget. And obviously it's mostly been spent on it's a creature of the modern day budget because of the size of it, but also the multiple teams that you alluded to that are working on these different sections of the game. So I don't know what's going to happen with Battlefield 6. I want it to be good. We need it to be good because Call of Duty is turning into a joke. Have you seen that Beavis and Butthead skin characters? There's a unicorn guns. There's all sorts of bollocks.
but that's what people want, bro.
Oh my god!
I know you went out and he's like, you know, this is a take you probably won't like. Okay, you ready for it?
Go for it.
I think one of the reasons Halo Infinite never took off the way it did is because they didn't embrace some of that stuff that like should have. Like Halo Studios or 343 was like, no, we need to keep the integrity of.
Shut up, Rand.
Whatever. But it's clear as day that even though people bitch about Seth Rogen in Call of Duty or Beavis and Butthead, it's clearly what makes money. It's clearly what the audience wants. Look what Fortnite has done to the online space. And granted, Fortnite's different because it's a cartoon, and they can do all those things. But if it didn't work in Call of Duty, if they weren't selling any of these bundles, because these are all licensed, I would imagine they'd have to pay somebody for the Beavis and Butthead stuff, right?
Not that much.
Because that's somebody else's IP.
Yeah.
If nobody was buying these things, they wouldn't do it. So when people bitch about it, we can bitch about it. And we always say, hey, vote with your wallet and don't buy it. But guess what? When you're not voting with your wallet, somebody else is.
Yeah.
And somebody else voting with their wallet and buying those skins and telling Activision, we want more of these type of things. Even though it ruins the visual aesthetic of the game, it doesn't make sense in the context of the game. But that's what people want. And maybe that's what Halo should have had. Maybe we should have had I don't know, Rick and Morty in Halo. Maybe that would have saved Halo. Maybe, Jez always says maybe Halo was missing something like waifus in the game. And instead of trying to pull more money out of the Halo user base, maybe one of the reasons why it never took off was because it didn't embrace that like Superman's not in Halo, right? So
I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree.
I knew you wouldn't, but guess what? They're listening to the dollars, bro. They're listening to what consumers actually want and spend their money on.
Bro, first of all, let me say this. Halo's problem isn't the fact that it hasn't got stupid, crappy, basic
Sure.
microtransactions. I just feel like
I went for an out there example, but to kind of drive the point home about like
the cat ears and all of that stuff. I feel like you
loved cat ears. You loved it. Don't lie. You had it. You bought it. You bought it. You had it.
I bought so much shit, but I did not buy that. I hate all that cat stuff. Like there's a integrity of that game, of a title you need to maintain. Fortnite is very different. It's kiddish. Call of Duty has completely bastardized it. PUBG struggled with this initially because they saw what Fortnite did, but Fortnite was lucky because thematically it could accommodate all of this. When PUBG started to add it, did it help PUBG really? Not really.
You know how successful PUBG still is? It's one of the most played games on Steam even now, and all that stuff is all throughout the game now.
And it's shit. And it kind of, but I don't think microtransactions helped with PUBG. PUBG's still maintained its audience because it still offers the quintessential OG battle royale experience, really.
Sure, but now you have like crazy looking aesthetics and all those sort of things in the game. And guess what?
People are buying it. No one's buying it. When's the last?
What do you mean nobody's buying? If nobody was buying it, the game wouldn't exist. It would have canceled like a whole bunch. Yeah, come on. It's a free-to-play game. If nobody's spending money, then how are they going to continue?
Have you seen the? When's the last time you saw something from PUBG in a skin? Like, what was the last skin? There's no announcements. Nothing. There's no license shit. Do you see any of that?
I mean, I don't particularly follow PUBG news.
I don't even see it. in my timeline or anything. I don't know when the hell they've lost in the license.
But that doesn't mean it's successful. I don't see stuff for like Zenless Zone Zero or some of those really popular Asian games or whatever. But just because I don't see it doesn't mean it's not successful. Because I don't personally see it on my timeline.
I think we're dangerously assuming that the game's success is contingent on microtransactions being sold and crazy ones like.
I mean, I think a free-to-play game's success is based off of how much microtransactions is sold, because how else are they going to make their money? It's free.
Okay, they can sell microtransactions, but is it all? We don't know whether or not it's the stupid, crazy, out there, over-the-top, pink unicorn nonsense that they're selling. With Halo, the moment they start doing that, it just kind of cheapened the experience. That didn't really help its player numbers, let's be honest, because they are out there. The Halos has a shit ton of ridiculous skins now. Like, so much crap out there. All that rainbow stuff and all that weird unicorn, weird like visors, neon, all of that shit is there. And I hate that. I was like, this is killing the spirit of what the Halo should be. But let me quickly read these super chats. Sorry, Rand, and sorry, chat. I just noticed, like, oh my god, I haven't read them for a while. First of all, Epic Treasure sent, gifted member. Thank you so much, Epic. Good to see you, as always. Celzito17, thank you for the $2.50. He goes, Matt, make Gaz and Rand a thing. Colt's a pony bot now with Mag. Oh, they'll call us pony bots tomorrow.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't I say I'm like almost 50 hours in Death Stranding 2? I'm sure somebody out there is being like, Rand's a pony bot, but
yeah, 100%.
Whatever.
That was.
I just games I like to play. Whatever.
Exactly. PC. Web Dave with a $2 super chat. Talk that shit, Rand. Good to see you, Web Dave. Gaz, what's your next must-play game? That's a good question. What is your next must-play game? Mine's Everwild.
Mine's Perfect Dark. And I'm surprised you led with Everwild, because I know Perfect Dark hurts you more than Everwild ever did. Because if I had to make an assumption about you, Everwild could have came out and you wouldn't have glanced at it, and you would never have played it or glanced at it and gave it a second chance. So I was surprised you led with that. But I'm sure we'll get to the Perfect Dark thing. My most anticipated game for the rest of the year, now that I'm playing Death Stranding 2. It's a good question. What is coming out the rest of the year?
I feel
Ninja Gaiden 4 is up there.
Yes.
I Platinum Games. When they're on their A game, or they have the A team working on it, man, they make some incredible stuff. From Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Have you played that one? Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Beautiful.
Oh my God. Bayonetta.
Wow.
Nier Automata. Like, when they're on, they're one of the best devs in the world. But when they're off, they make some pure trash.
Yeah.
So that's one of them. Ninja Gaiden 4. I'm also really looking forward to Mafia, the Old Country.
Yeah, that. I've never played a Mafia game. That looks amazing.
I played 1 and 2. I haven't played 3 yet. I don't know if I will. But I like the look of Mafia. Obviously, people say that Silksong's coming out this year, supposedly. I really, really liked Hollow Knight. So if that does release, I will be there day one. Ghost of the Yotai is another game I'm really looking forward to. So it's tough for me to say like which is number one.
Yeah.
Because like Doom was always up there, and so was Death Stranding 2, and they both, have basically come and gone.
Yeah.
Even though I'm still in the middle of Death Stranding 2. So I'm trying to think, am I missing anything else? Anything?
Arc Raiders. I don't know if you're not a multiplayer guy. So.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't really Extraction. I mean, maybe I'll try it out when it comes out, but
I'll definitely try that out. Arc Raiders looks really good. You know what I really want to play? Sword of the Seas.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna. I think that comes out in August.
Yeah.
I really liked their previous games. Journey, Abzu, Pathless.
I played Abzu.
Really enjoyed all those games, so I'll definitely play that game. I forgot the name of it already.
Sword of the Sea.
Sword of the Sea. There we go. For some reason, I always think like Sea of Stars, but that's a different game.
I always get the name wrong.
Like Sword of the Sea. All right. Yeah.
Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers. Your friend Jez previewed it, I think, or someone at Windows Central did, and they said
somebody. I think Windows Central. I mean, the thing is, okay. Souls games or Souls-like games, they don't. I'm not the biggest fans of Souls-like. And I say that saying like Elden Ring is one of my most, best favorite games of this generation. I don't know. There's a part of me sometimes when I see a trailer and it clearly is Souls inspired.
Yeah.
That it just immediately turns me off because they're so prevalent now.
Yeah.
That I just can be like, I don't really. I don't know. I have trouble explaining how I could feel that way, considering how much I loved Sekiro and how much I loved Elden Ring, but at the same time, I also didn't like Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And I do really like the Jedi Survivor games, and those are, Souls inspired. But there are so many Souls-like games now they all seem to like meld together.
Especially the Chinese ones. They're looking very samey.
So it's like when I see that Wu Chang Feathers game, I'm like, okay, it looks cool, but I'm not even sure that's a game I want to play. Like, there is one Souls game that I probably will get to. It's in my backlog, which is Lies of P.
Oh, yeah.
I've had so many people tell me about that, and I'll probably end up playing it at some point in the future. But maybe it's the proliferation of the genre where it like infects so much that it just turns me off on some of these. And it's like, I'm not even saying the art doesn't look good or the aesthetic doesn't look amazing. It's just kind of like, oh, it's another Souls game, right? It feels almost like when Call of Duty became super popular and everybody's shifting to shooters.
Yeah.
Or when Gears, popularized the third person cover shooter, and then suddenly everything was a third person cover shooter.
Yeah.
And then you get, watered down versions of it, and it's just like, you see another one, and you're like, do we need another one?
He is getting fatigue. I'm seeing that just in terms of like, yeah. And I've got a Stellar Blade to play, then I've got Black Myth to play, and they're all starting to feel very samey. So I get where you're coming from, like what kind of that fatigue is setting in, and apparently the next kind of thing to take over that is going to be hack and slash.
The return of hack and slash, so like the return of the Devil May Cry-ish stuff.
I think that'll be good.
Hey, what's old is new again.
Yeah,
or what's new? What's old is new again? Yeah.
Well, it's true. We've got God Emperor Sofa King because now they need to put the fries in the bag. I don't know what that means. There's an older thing, and then he goes, "I'm the mighty Cornholio, and he'd TP for my bunghole." This is earlier. Thank you for the super chat with the Beavis and Butthead reference. I wonder how many people actually bought that, because it's a older gen thing. It's not for youngers. Youngers don't even. Well, they've got new versions, but I doubt anyone watches MTV or watches Beavis and Butthead anymore. So I wonder it feels like they're running out of ideas of what to sell. They've sold some random shit. Just give me a skin toggle in COD for God's sake, says Captain Chats. Maybe if you're on PC, you might have that option or have to mod it or something. But yeah, there was who was that? There was like some random was it Cardi B had a skin or someone else? I don't know. I don't remember.
They got so many skins, bro.
It's dumb. It's stupid. We were talking about Everwild Layoffs, but the other one, this one, Rand, is criminal. One of my most
stabbed you in the heart. This is the one for you.
This is the one that absolutely just decimated me, man. I was one of my most anticipated games of this generation. The one that I said, just get this right, take your time. And I had so many arguments. You remember early days? I was arguing about people like, what? They still haven't started development on this? What? The creative guy has left? What? What's going on? Like, what's going on? And I didn't like this whole incubation idea. Then we got Crystal Dynamics working on it. And then, last year, they released the trailer. I'm like, you know what? I take it back. This game looks absolutely beautiful. And then what happens? What happens, Rand?
Well, then you have people come out and say that demo was fake, but then people the developer who was on it says no, it was very much real, but it was a vertical slice, and
there was some fake stuff.
There's some fake-ish stuff here and there, but that's what the game was supposed to be. When I saw that Everwild was canceled,
yeah,
my first thought was Perfect Dark is going to be canceled.
Why?
Well, because if you're canceling games that are long in the tooth, right? Like Everwild has been in development for quite some time, and then you look at the initiative, and it's a studio founded in 2018, and it's 2025, and Perfect Dark probably wasn't going to hit store shelves for another 2-3 years, and you're looking to like save costs on something, and for game cancellation, considering the initiative brings in no money because they have no other products to sell in their history. Yeah, I mean, that was my first thought. Oh, Everwild's canceled? They're canceling Perfect Dark too.
When Jez tweeted out, by the way, I'm starting to hear that it might be canceled, I reached out to him straight away. I'm like, bro.
They knew it was... When they put that stuff on the site, they already knew it was true.
Shit.
It was just like waiting for the official confirmation. But it's the one for me that does sting the most. Was Perfect Dark, because it, I think I've mentioned before, we don't get a lot of stealthish games. We don't get a lot of Deus Ex type experiences anymore.
Yeah.
The audience isn't there for it, but it looked like really cool, the aesthetic and everything, so I was down for it. This kind of goes into leadership issues at Xbox. Look, I've always questioned about like Matt Booty and I've never been sold on him leading the whole gaming team stuff when he was the head of Xbox Game Studios and now the head of Bethesda and ABK.
Yeah.
Now he's taken over, and I think if you do a comparison to like before he took over in 2019 or 2018 versus now, I do think the Metacritic scores have risen. So like the games are like better, like critical wise, but there's just some of these games that come out just have these like, for starters, why has it been 7 years and Perfect Dark isn't ready and probably need another 2 years or 3 years? Why is Everwild probably needed another 2 years? Like there's a lot of games here where it just seemed like a problem with leadership, either at the studio itself, where they didn't know what they wanted it to be and they were constantly changing direction, or leadership within Xbox Game Studios with Matt Booty. And because he kind of gives off that rich uncle vibe.
Yeah.
Where, studios go to him and like they want help or they want time or extra money to do something. He's like, oh, we got all the money for you. Like, you can take all the time you want. Like, the reporting is that the Xbox is pretty much hands off.
Yeah.
With the developers. Make what you want. You need extra money, you got it. But if you need that like firm hand on the tiller, like for direction, it doesn't really seem like that's the managerial style they do. And sure, that some studios will probably thrive off of not being told to do and not being having someone overlooking their shoulder all the time. But some studios, just like kids, some kids can get away with doing whatever they want and they'll turn out just fine. But other kids, you need to be a tough parent.
Yep.
Because if you don't, the kid's gonna run all over you and maybe end up doing some other things.
Drugs.
And it's clear that like there's some issue there with that stuff where it's like that leadership style of we're hands off, we'll give you the money and take your time. I'm not sure works for a lot of studios.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder what the issues were, where they originated from, like what's the problem. Like you mentioned, they found the initiative. Phil takes a picture years ago of playing the game or whatever with I forget the guy. I think you said his name was Drew, who eventually then went on to Insomniac to ship Spider-Man 2, and here we are. You know,
don't let Phil Spencer taking pictures with your with studios. By the way,
Phil Spencer, you're taking pictures with you better be word for your job.
Yeah,
and here we are in 2025 after they showed the game off last year. And even in my mind, before all this happened, guys, I think I was telling people to ask me, "Oh, when do we expect Perfect Dark? Could it be 2025? Could it be 2026?" And I'm like, I think the earliest you see Perfect Dark is 2027.
Yeah,
maybe even 2028. And you know, if Microsoft's coming down and being like, you need to make cuts, you need to look at some of these projects, and you need to, you know, get rid of the ones that aren't working. You're going to get rid of the ones that are long in the tooth. And so like Perfect Dark's on the chopping block. So therefore the initiative's got to go because they don't have any of their games. They're not bringing in any money.
Yeah. And
it just, the problem is, guys, that you don't know. It's hard to like take anything that Microsoft says or Phil says at face value anymore, because in the last 2 years, the things that they've said have turned out to be the complete opposite eventually.
Yeah.
Right? You mentioned Phil goes on Xbox Air and says, "Hey, I'm really looking forward to Everwild. It's got some great, we're going to give it the time it needs. It's going to be great." And then 4 months later, it's canceled.
Yeah.
He goes on and says, 4 games. Only 4 games. It's not a sign of things to come. It's not an Indiana Jones, even though Indiana Jones was literally the next game, and it ended up being a sign of things to come. And he also literally said during that podcast, we had the choice of either raising the prices of our stuff or expanding out to new audiences as like a reason for doing this. But they ended up doing both anyways, because they ended up raising the price of games and the consoles. Granted, okay, you could point the finger at the current economic situation with tariffs and all that sort of stuff, right? But whatever, it's still a statement that ended up not being true. Right now, not to mention going back to the whole Bethesda roundtable, where he's like, "Oh, these games are going to exist in places where Game Pass is," which isn't true anymore.
Yep.
So I said on my show, I said, "Phil, if you're listening," so Phil, if you're listening to Gaz's show and you didn't listen to mine, please just shut up. Don't do PR anymore. Seriously, do not. It's not doing anybody at Xbox any favors for any of the executives to come on the podcast or to come into the interviews and say what you have to say, because whether it's because you're lying, which I don't think you are, or it's because the plans change, which I definitely think is happening, or you're blindsided by some of this stuff, which is why you said what you said about Everwild and then only had to cut it 3 months later. It really, to the average person who doesn't really look into these things, it just comes across that you're just a big fat liar.
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
Microsoft and Xbox shouldn't be trusted by anybody, because you never know what could be happening, because you could be sitting here a year from now when the next fiscal year ends.
Yep.
And they could go through this whole situation again, because maybe we didn't cut enough.
Yeah.
We need to free up some more space for this other stuff. So guess what other projects can you cut? What other studios can you trim?
Contraband, I just showed that earlier. That's definitely getting canned. I'll be shocked if that makes it later.
Well, I mean, apparently they're still hiring.
What?
So it doesn't seem like it's been canceled. Which, if it's not been canceled, then that game's got to be really far along.
Yeah. And that's gonna be what,
That's
heist games.
that's my thing to Xbox PR. It's like, just take a page out of Sony and Nintendo's book, and just don't talk. Because when you do end up talking, it ends up being flipped. Like, it ends up not being true. So
we used to give credit to the Xbox execs for being so open and communicative and talking to us.
But now every time they say something,
they lies.
The opposite happens. Lies. So it's great to see Phil come on there and talk about Everwild, but it's not so great 3 months later when the game ends up getting canceled. Because what does that do? It makes Phil look like a liar. Either he was lying to them, either he was lying to Nick and all them at that point 3 months ago, which would be awful if they asked him about that and like, no, he's lying then.
Yeah, and I doubt he's lying.
Or it was sprung on him,
yep,
and it was like, you need to do this and you need to cut, so they decided to cut it. But either way, whatever the truth is, it's just, don't put yourself in that situation where you're going to say something that potentially could end up
why are you giving lessons to an exec on how to do stuff, man? Does he not get training? His pay, he gets paid millions. Surely you would know this stuff.
I'm just saying, like, Xbox PR, don't let your executives talk to anybody.
But this is an interesting
I don't think it's doing them any favors.
You just told Phil Spencer to shut up, Rand, and I love it. Because he needs to. Bro, Kevin in chat, can you just chill, please? All I can see is just you. I can't read anyone else's messages. Yeah, I'm not trying to be rude, but yeah, that's all I can see. No, but bro, you're spot on. I'm not saying that why are you telling a millionaire or whatever head of Xbox what to do? What I'm alluding to that is Phil Spencer. First of all, he's run off Twitter anyway. He's on B Sky B Social where everyone, we're just dead anyway, so no one's there. But secondly, I'm interested in the fact that you've actually said that, because Phil Spencer isn't seen as the industry darling, man. He is now seen as the pariah. Like, nothing he so much of what he has said, and I'm sure he's a likable person, very nice guy. That's why Uncle Phil, the memes or people gravitate towards him, because he's a genuine gamer. He plays a lot of games. He was playing Indiana Jones while this whole shit was going down, which is insane. I was like, bro, at least go offline.
I don't think he was playing Indiana Jones.
Well, Cole Eastwood and I were online, and Cole checked on his Xbox, and he was
but that just because he was online and on it doesn't mean he was actually playing it.
What does that mean? Well, okay, Cole, he was playing it. But
I mean, hey, you want to know what I mean by this?
What?
How many times has Colt left his system on running a game only to not come back to it until 6 hours later?
That's true.
So, and Colt does it, so it could be that Phil started playing it and then left it on, and then, oh, look, Indiana Jones is there as a possibility. So
yeah.
We know if Colt Eastwood is guilty of that, then I'm sure other people are as well.
Yeah. No, but that's true. He maybe kept it on, and he was doing that. I don't know. I don't think he will ever want to talk to me now at this point. Not that I'm anyone worth talking to in the space, but I've flung my vitriol against him. At one point, I think he was watching Game On Daily, but I know I'm not exactly seen as a.
Well, I mean, he is the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, so you'd imagine the buck stops with him, but
at the same time, man, it's just like he's gonna retire soon. I think he's gonna end up when the new Xbox comes out. He's gonna go off on a high, and then that's it. Sarah Bond will have to inherit the problem. But I don't see fondly of him, and there seems to be a lack of control. Like, he's the leader there. We can always blame evil Microsoft, but he works for them. He's the head of Xbox. He doesn't have a finger on the pulse. If they're all, like you said, Matt Booty's hands off, well, then that's his problem, because they would have a greater oversight on things. It's frankly embarrassing that you get on Xbox Era a few weeks ago, and a few weeks prior, and just say Everwild is number one, and you got Special Nico, and then afterwards it's like cancelled, boom, it's done. Perfect Dark, and then you shut the entire studio, which is and that was a shit show as well, and that shows what bad management. That is evidence of bad management. You hired all these you called it a quadruple A studio, hired all these sick people, and then you didn't realize, oh, actually, we need someone to actually make all these opinionated, very talented creatives that work together. You went for Naughty Dog, you went for all these sick people, and then they all left. And then you started doing a collaboration with Crystal Dynamics, and you still couldn't save it. God knows how many years you squandered. Did you do any oversight? That is on Microsoft. That's not on anyone else. And then you've shut down that studio. Time wasted. The amount of hope that gamers had. So much time looking forward to it. I watched that trailer for Perfect Dark so many times. And you just shat on that legacy. And also the legacy, the disrespect to the Perfect Dark legacy. And now, like we saw with, and I put this in my video, which I was very scathing about, or was with Xbox executives, and I said, you know what, Rand, we're going to get another, God knows, 10, 15 years of hashtag scalebound syndrome with Perfect Dark.
Oh, Jesus.
And John Xbox here already started doing it yesterday. I'm like, you know who would be a really good person to make this, this Machine Games would be really good. It's like, shut the I don't want to hear this now for another 10, 15 years.
You know what?
And I understand.
You know what Machine Games' next game is, right?
What is it?
Jez said it on our show yesterday. It's a Rainbow Six Siege Counter-Strike-ish multiplayer game.
Really?
Supposedly, that's what Jez said.
Really?
I mean, Jeff Kurtzman also said that like a year ago. Like he had heard that their next game was a Counter-Strike-ish Rainbow Six Siege type multiplayer game. Yeah.
Hey, I'm not going to be against that. I want to see what that's like.
We'll see if that's true.
Machine Games working on that. It's interesting.
I mean, there was a lot of people that questioned why Machine Games would work on something like Indiana Jones, but at least had the throughput of Nazis in it, right?
Yeah, some continuity
like,
there.
Wolfenstein and Indiana Jones really couldn't be more different from one another.
But they always have Nazis in there, yeah. But that's interesting because it's id Software. The id Tech engine utilized for a predominantly multiplayer game. I'm interested in that. Not gonna lie, as long as it's good.
I don't have any interest in that.
I have interest in that.
I'd either want Wolfenstein 3 or Indiana Jones 2. I have no interest in a. I mean, I thought people hated multiplayer games and live service stuff now. Isn't that what everybody says?
The sheep do now. But I want good multiplayer games. Good multiplayer games is what saved last gen for me. It was such a good time. And we've got such soulless multiplayer games. And I still want a really good multiplayer game, which is why I'm looking at Battlefield 6 so fondly, like with the hopes there with Vince Zampella running it. But we need good multiplayer games, not trend chasing. And I don't think Machine Games do that, man. They build their own kind of unique games, and Indiana Jones showed that, and they took freaking Indiana Jones into first person and made it work. And they've done Wolfenstein, which personally I haven't really enjoyed because of the floatiness of it just never gelled with me. I appreciate the games, but yeah, something about it. But multiplayer, like if they did that, I would be interested. Shout out to Leo Shimazaki from Japan. In my honest opinion, Phil still being at Xbox after all this mismanagement nets the brand a negative 100 credit points.
Negative 100? What is this, like Harry Potter Gryffindor points? 10 points to Gryffindor. 20 points to Slytherin.
Slytherin is
negative
winning
100
sure.
points to Xbox because Phil Spencer's still there.
It kind of sorry, this is a bit of this only me and you'll probably understand this, but Red Rising with all the different classes, it kind of reminded me of if Darrow was Harry Potter and then he joined Slytherin and then he had to infiltrate them and then he joined Golds. That's what it felt like. But yeah, it's like Phil Spencer needs to step down, but then who's going to step up? It ultimately doesn't matter, Rand, because the problem isn't necessarily just Phil. It's the mandate from Amy Hood at the top. The top-down Microsoft Eye of Sauron is there. That will not change. Phil Spencer, I know. Look, there's more nuance to it. And this is not... And I've been massively scathing about Phil Spencer, so if anyone even say, oh, you're trying to suck him off because you love that song. Oh, Phil Spencer. No, this is not a symptom of that. There's more to it. Look, Phil Spencer saved Xbox. Because without him, Satya Nadella would have murked it. He did that. You can't just gloss over that. But at the same time, he also has been a positive force for Xbox in getting people together but emboldening a lot of developers in there, and he's gamer first. He has been. But the problem is, I don't know how good a leader he is, because he has to battle with all manners of pressures. I feel like this is not the truth of it will never come out, because if Ryan McCaffrey interviews him, he's going to be asking safe questions. It's only after Phil Spencer retires and someone has a sit down with him and a proper conversation, only then will you probably get real answers of what actually happened. And Phil Spencer may, because he's so passionate about it, vent about this. He might come out and say, you know what? Let me tell you, Gaz, you piece of shit. You've been making videos about me, calling me a prick and all sorts and getting me fired. Let me tell you something, you absolutely uneducated little shit. You didn't know what I was dealing with. I saved Xbox. You made a video about that. Now you're trying to cuss me out for the best part of 6 years, you little shit. This is what was happening. Tell me, Gaz, how am I going to reconcile bald-headed Satya Nadella who waxes his head telling me I have to cut all these people and I have to balance this? We're trying to make all these games work, and then when Indiana Jones was good, you were okay with me. But then afterwards, when I Cancellation Everwild and Perfect Dark was nothing in my hands, then you saw me at Xbox era. You saw me say pick Everwild as a game. So did you not use some common sense and wonder why on earth I picked Everwild and then it had to get cancelled? Did you not think for a second it's not my choice? And don't you dare say to me, oh, I'm head of Xbox, because I have no choice. I'm still running a division, and up top Baldy told me we have to make cuts because they love AI, and just because you like to use ChatGPT to make freaking AI pictures of Portorock means that some freaking farm in South Korea is burning, doesn't mean that I have any power in that. That's potentially a conversation Phil Spencer may have with me in the brains of my mind. So there's that. But I haven't had that conversation in the future, so I don't know what the reality is, man. I have to blame him, man. Unless you give me some more information, who else am I going to blame? I know it's Amy Hood. I know for a fact it's Satya and Microsoft's mandate that culled about 15,000 whatever jobs in the last week. This is a larger part of Microsoft. But someone has to be accountable, man, at Xbox. You can't...
Sure.
Is Phil Spencer not liable in any shape or form? What?
He is the CEO, right? After all, I mean, he is the head honcho. So
we
it's
have
like,
to blame him. We have no choice.
You look at the leadership, and you look at him. You look at Matt Booty. You look at Sarah Bond, and they can't escape. They can't escape all the blame, even if Amy Hood's the one being like, "Hey, you need to hit these X margins." And if you don't, and we need to free up some things, so you need to cut this amount of money, and then they need to figure out what to cut.
Yeah.
I do think you look at, like I said, why is it taking Everwild so long? Why was the initiative taking so long with that? Why are some projects taking longer than others? I mean, I know game development's very rough. Sometimes they don't come together to the end, and some thrive. Look at Obsidian. Right?
Yeah.
Avowed was rebooted twice. Still came out. Still actually was pretty good.
Yeah.
Even the critical reception was, 80s, which is, despite what people will say, an 80 on Metacritic's, indicative of a good game. And then they're coming out with Grounded 2 already after 2 years, or how many years it's been since the first one. And they got Outer Worlds 2, which even looks better than the last one. And it's like, how are they able to do all this stuff so quickly?
Yeah.
But then you got some of these other... why is Fable taking as long as it's taking?
Yeah.
Right? That's another game that seems to almost be as long in the can as Perfect Dark is or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I think they've spent a lot of money on that one, and it's like they don't want to get rid of it, but there's that, but like... Yeah, there's definitely, like, you look at it, it's like, is everything run smoothly? No, but does everything run smoothly at every single publisher on the face of the planet? Probably not.
Yeah,
so you gotta point the blame at the people in charge.
Yeah.
And even if this is what I said to you before the show, I said to you, sometimes the truth doesn't matter because everybody makes up their own truth.
Yeah.
In this day and age, when it comes to politics, when it comes to anything else, people have already decided what the truth is, regardless of what the actual truth might be. So somebody will come in and say, like the Seattle Times reporting, saying like, oh, this is Amy Hood and it's all about AI. And then some people will just be like, oh, that's all cap. That's just excuses. you're lying and you're shilling for Xbox. You're not holding Phil Spencer and all these people accountable, and that like it's whatever you want the truth to be.
Yeah.
You know, like somebody could come and tell you the truth and you may not believe it. And that's why I said it's like perception's reality, and the perception is right now that Xbox is a company you cannot trust because their plans change too often from month to month, year to year. Their decisions seems to be constantly in flux. You don't know what's going to survive from one fiscal year to the next. So when they tell you that we have a console and it's a first party console and it's coming at some point with the collaboration of AMD, you look at all these other things and you're like, well, why should I believe you?
That's a valid position.
Why should I believe you? I believe Phil when he said Everwild's coming along good, but look what happened. Everwild got canceled. You showed me Perfect Dark the previous year. It looks great. Now the following year it's canceled. Now all of a sudden, like you're first hearing about the ZeniMax Online MMO game, which I know you were, probably planning on talking about because of the sci-fi aesthetic and stuff.
Yep.
And apparently Phil couldn't even stop playing it. And the executives at Xbox love the game. Oh, canceled 2 months later.
Bruh.
So, you know what I mean? Like, there's that disconnect of, and I understand corporations, you really shouldn't trust them anyways, right? Because they're always going to do what's best for them. But there is some semblance of trust of like, of believing that what they say they're going to do is actually what they're going to do. Otherwise,
it's pointless.
Everything sort of breaks down at that point.
But it has broken down, Rand. Like now, you can't understand.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, you look at like the videos, you look at the people in the space that have, I saw Skill Up released a video basically saying that Xbox leadership needs to be completely replaced.
Wow.
I'm sure that there's other people out there that would say the same. And then how could you really argue against it about what's happening? Even if the truth is this is all on Microsoft because of Amy Hood and Satya Nadella. And that's not to say, like, even if you believe that, I'm sure there are mistakes that Phil and Matt Booty have made over the years.
Yeah.
They're not flawless. Xbox isn't a flawless company. So, yeah.
Bro,
what about that Zen? How did that one hurt you, Jazz, when you saw what the ZeniMax game was?
Bro, you know me. Blade Runner 2049 is my favorite movie of all time. My number one. I love the Blade Runner aesthetic. Cyberpunk is the reason why I was quite tough on it in the assessment, because it had so much I want it to be good. We find out that these guys are working on this game, that Phil Spencer loved it, that Matt Booty had to tear him away as he was playing this game. It was so much fun because Phil Spencer is a gamer, and he's like, it was good. And they've spent what 4 years in development for this game, and it had a Blade Runner aesthetic. They had these tall buildings. There was like this, I think, apparently rope mechanic, like climbing mechanic or whatever. There's this focus on verticality. You had a big city, like Blade Runner, like third person. And then it was also a thingy game. What was it? I think it was an Extraction. What was it? It was an Extraction type of game. No, what was it? It was a multiplayer kind of game like that. And cancelled. And I was like, you know me, how desperate I am for multiplayer. You know how much I love that. It's the reason why I'm vouching for not the Last Night, because that guy who made the Last Night is actually a bit of a dick. What's the other one that keeps never getting a release date as well? The other one, not the Last Night. Replaced. That kind of neo cyberpunk future aesthetic. I love it. When the hell is that? When is that freaking getting a release date, by the way? And Paris Lily played it and all that in Gamescom last year. When anyway, so this game got cancelled. Like, everything is getting cancelled. You're seeing a Perfect Dark get cancelled. It's long in the tooth, loads of investment, collaboration with Crystal Dynamics. You've got Everwild, I don't know, Rare just literally huffing just all kinds of DMT and just, I don't know what the hell they're doing. Clearly some management issues there. So they got murked. Then you've got this multiplayer game by Bethesda online title and different aesthetic, something that could have really kind of added to the incredible variety that Xbox has in its first party stable. That's got cancelled. And then the big one that I found like, no way. Yeah, understandable actually to a certain degree, but turn 10, Rand. Turn 10. The studio that has been at as the part of the nucleus of Xbox, one of the most talented, if not the most talented teams historically at Xbox, and 50% of them cut. Now the other 50% relegated to what? Support studio for the much more popular Forza Horizon series. Now a lot of people are saying, and every single one there was an excuse. Oh, I don't. Who cares about Extraction game or whatever the hell it was? Oh, who cares about everyone? What was it? Wasn't even a good game. Like, oh, whatever. Perfect Dark. Oh, it looked fake because they've just heard this report of it looked fake. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter. They spent so long about it. Oh, are you gonna fund these things forever? It's like, okay. And then Forza. Oh, last Forza wasn't that great. I'm like, hold on a minute. You guys were sucking off Forza. So now you're like, oh no, it wasn't that great in the first place. Now with Forza, Rand, I will say this: it was a decent game, but it didn't do what it needed to. Clearly, the player numbers were shit, especially compared to anything else like Forza Horizon. There's that. On a personal level, those bastards at turn 10 made me lose my my bet with the ponies. With the ponies, I had to bend the knee.
That's where all this anger's coming from, people. Gaz just admitted it. He lost the bet.
No, I did, and you know what? There's little shits at turn 10. How many? What's his name? I forgot his name. Dan Greenwald, whatever his name is. Anyway, they assured us built from the ground up all of this shit, and no, that didn't happen. And you lost without even a doubt, shadow of a doubt. That Digital Foundry thing was scathing. So I understand that they failed. Like the problem is that they had spent so many years making sure they took the racing crown. They lost it right at the end in horrendous fashion, and they've built the game up. They've supported it really well. This is the problem with gas games. Apparently the game is really good now, but that's it. And now the next Forza Rand is cancelled. Like that's what we're hearing. We're hearing.
You said they lost. You said they lost the racing crown to Gran Turismo, but the thing is, they lost the racing crown to their spin-off.
Yeah, that's an arcade
game. Which you could argue, which makes Forza Motorsport redundant.
In the arcades, it's like different. Listen, man, Rand. These
when all you care about is money, what are you gonna spend your money on?
All right, Satya Nadella. Who am I talking to? Am I talking to Rand? Or am I talking to Baldy Lock Satya? Come on, man. Don't do what Twitter does.
To be fair, look. There's like personally the stuff like I personally don't care about Forza Motorsport, and I never cared about Forza Motorsport. So does it matter to me that Forza Motorsport no longer exists? No. I'll be truthful with that. I don't care that Forza Motorsport doesn't exist. I know there's sim racer fans out there that love that game, and that franchise has been stalwart for 20 years. But at the same time, I'm a Forza Horizon guy. I've always been a Forza Horizon guy. I think it's the better game. I think it's the superior experience. And if I were to put on my business cap for just 1 second here,
yeah,
to me it makes total sense to put all your chips on the table in Forza Horizon and look at what Motorsport did, and then being like, we don't need you anymore. Like we have this other product that is 1 million times more than you'll ever be. So we're going to go everything all the way there. Now that's to say, well, why couldn't they do both? Because that's a good question. Maybe they should have been able to do both. Maybe you can, they had for a long time. Well, actually, when was the last Forza game outside of the 2023 release? It was like 2017, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a long time. It was a long time.
So they went from 2017 to 2023 without, and in that time frame, they released Forza Horizon 4 and Forza Horizon 5, which ended up just blowing the doors off of Forza Motorsport in the time frame that they were. So, okay, so you take 2029, so all that development time they're probably looking at, and they're looking at Forza just making money hand over fist. And it's like, all right, well, we don't need Forza Motorsport anymore. And maybe Forza Motorsport's not a candidate to go maybe that's the other thing. Like, maybe they look at, like, well, could we put Forza Motorsport on PlayStation? But Gran Turismo's on PlayStation. Where, you know, Forza Horizon is a different type of experience. So maybe they're just like, you know what? We will downsize the studio so the people there that can still continue to work on Forza Motorsport and do updates and stuff, and also give support to our real, like, crown jewel. Because when you think about it, Gaz, when you look at Forza Horizon, can you name me the games that are bigger than Forza Horizon in Xbox's portfolio right this second? Because I'll say Forza Horizon right now, if you look at it right now from the last iterations, I think Forza Horizon is bigger than Gears. I think Forza Horizon is bigger than Halo.
Yes, definitely.
I think the only things that are bigger than Forza Horizon is Minecraft.
Yeah.
And Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Maybe World of Warcraft's bigger. Potentially. But
maybe.
I mean, Forza's become, you know, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you're looking at it, it's like Forza's bigger than pretty much everything except for the two biggest properties. Like, that's how big Forza Horizon became.
Yeah.
And I think the plan's like, we're going to support them with the tech engine stuff because they use Forza tech. We'll keep the updates coming from Forza Motorsport. And then maybe they revisit the plan down the road, where maybe 5 years pass and, like, okay, we want to do another Forza Motorsport. We start hiring it back, and then we do something.
Yeah.
Is that could be the plan? But will that actually happen? I don't know. But I'm not too surprised because, you know, go ahead.
I was going to say, the thing is, though, the backbone of a Forza Horizon game was the underlying work that Forza, the Turn 10 did. Now, the opposite is flipped. Now, Turn 10 are supporting the bigger ones. And I don't know how that works in a tech way, in terms of tech. They'll figure it out.
I mean, Fable's using Forza tech as well, so...
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll figure it out in terms of that. You know what they should do? Make Project
the engine
Gotham Racing.
all the engine people are probably at Turn 10, so you won't probably want to keep them around.
Yeah.
Just keep the studio around at least to help support that stuff. But
by the way, chat, all this footage you've seen is bullshit. They downgraded the shit out of this in real life. And that's why I vouched for them. And that this was a lie as well. I went into the exact same spot in this in replay mode. Look, you know, the plants growing earlier. Bullshit. Sorry, Rand. I had to let it rant.
No, you go ahead.
No,
you obviously feel a certain way about Forza Motorsport.
I understand that they didn't do what they were supposed to. At the end of the day, that they didn't shut down the entirety of that studio. So Champagne Supernova and Gaz, your camera battery is low. Slow down, baby. Sorry, I just saw. I know exactly what you're referencing there at the end. He loves this Jackie Chan reference. Slow down, baby. I might bring that up on screen. But he also says, put the remaining Turn 10 team on a pod racing game, you little tots. Use the dollar saved to pressure Ubisoft to sell the Splinter Cell IP to Tencent for Rand, for all of us. But yeah, or make them work on Project Gotham Racing, please. Project Gotham Racing.
Yeah, I mean,
Project
Gotham Racing was amazing.
Yeah.
And was that Bizarre Creations who ended up getting
bought out by Activision?
By Activision, then closed down after they made a game. What was the name of the game they made? Blur, and then they shut them down.
Yeah.
So technically doesn't Xbox own
the IP
PGR and Blur at this point because they bought ABK?
Now, yes, but I need to talk to you about ABK. So every time this happens, I see the same shit over and over again. And I need to talk to you about ABK. Consolidation. You see, this is what happens when you consolidate. Consolidation's so bad. I even saw freaking NXG, who now works for IGN, come at Cole and he is a pony. You have to understand he's the biggest hidden pony. He gets triggered by my post and everything all the time. And I see so many other people like, consolidation. Consolidation is to blame for all of this. Now, layoffs have happened in the entirety of this industry, from indies, AA's, AAA's. You're talking about consolidation. Turn 10 had 50% of their staff cut. What has that got to do with ABK? 50%. They didn't match up, murked. Rare. Are you going to point to consolidation? They purchased in 2018 where Rare didn't do anything? What are we talking about? If it wasn't for ABK chat, I'm going to say this one more time, there would be no Xbox. Xbox would be dead. If you see all these closures now, you think that Xbox wouldn't be exiting this space? It's because of ABK. Xbox is here to stay. So any pony tries to retrofit their history and try to use the ABK against them, you can say, you idiots. If it wasn't for ABK...
Can I offer a counter? Can I offer a counter?
You be a bit careful with your counter, because I'll come at you. But
my counter would be, couldn't you make the argument that the reason Xbox is under the scrutiny from Amy Hood and Microsoft is because they bought ABK and spent that money that they probably would have rather spent on AI in the first place?
But you think that if ABK didn't happen, they would just sit there and let Xbox carry on doing something?
No, I'm just saying, can't you could make the argument that the Eye of Sauron was fully on them because they spent $70 billion, and then suddenly now they have to pull their own weight. They have to hit these margins because they spent all this money. And because of that, now you're in a situation where Microsoft feels they might be losing out on the AI race because they didn't invest that money into AI. They invested it into ABK instead. So there might be a feeling of regret.
Nah.
So now you need to cut. And because all that money was spent on ABK, that's who you're going to focus on to remove, to hit the milestones. So look, I don't think it's as easy as say ABK is the reason they exist, because I also think you can make the argument of the reason why this is happening is because ABK happened, and the money that they spent was so much that more of a
there's more scrutiny as a result of it.
More out of them, and when it wasn't happening, they went through all those cuts.
Sure, but
I think both things can be true.
Yeah. So again, the truth is always kind of in the middle there. Yes, as a result of ABK, there'll be greater scrutiny because now this is the third biggest arm of Microsoft. Sure, absolutely, I agree. ABK will definitely put a target on their back, and it accelerated the multi-platform strategy, which was going to be inevitable anyway, the way they were carrying on. It just hyper-accelerated it. For me, that's a benefit because now it just read the true colors of my Xbox well in advance of what they actually were trying to do. There's that. I agree with you that they would put more greater scrutiny with that. But without ABK, the way that the Xbox's trajectory is, where the poor sales were, do you think that Sarah Bond would have come out 2 weeks ago and said, by the way, we're partnering up with a native and still work on a native device, partner up with AMD for a next-gen console? I don't think so. There's no... I think that would have been either a third party, like kind of collaboration or whatnot, but they are still committed. They are pot committed now. They are pot committed virtue of their 80 billion. As a result of that, things are going to go... There'll be negatives of it, or which we're seeing, some elements of it, but not totality of it. You have to weigh up. Either Xbox is in the space, or completely starts to withdraw slowly and exits, like Satya Nadella wanted to. And I personally cannot see how Xbox or Microsoft could justify funneling money into Xbox with the struggles that they had with hardly any of the studios. They've shut down so much of what they acquired or historically had legacy studios that I just don't see them carrying on. They would have completely exited it. So if you're an Xbox fan, it's a bittersweet thing maybe for you, but ultimately the existence of Xbox as a result is assured, in my opinion, by ABK.
Let me ask you this. If they never bought ABK in 2022, what do you think ends up happening?
I think what would happen is as they'll slowly start exiting, their hardware is tanking. So what do? The hardware is really bad. Do you now still commit to a loss-leading hardware strategy when your strategy where you went multi-plat on software has made it abundantly clear? They've relegated that. They've got their service on Game Pass that they need to supplement. What would happen? It'd be such a hard conversation for any Xbox fan. If Xbox asked you, why should we spend God knows how many billions to develop a next bit of console when our Series X is selling less than an Xbox One, and that was a generation we lost horrendously. I don't know which Xbox savant in the community could make a arguable case about Xbox being in this hardware space if the ABK didn't happen. What would you say? They're just down. They had a couple of like good winners with their software. They would just exit hardware straight away. Away. I just don't see them doing it. No chance.
I don't think. Well, this is one of the things with like the idea of them doing because there are still plenty of people that think they're exiting hardware, right?
They might do. You never know. After it's bullshit. They lie so much.
Who knows what they do with the change of mind? But currently, with the looks like with the layoffs, nobody from the hardware team got laid off because the console is still important to them because it's where the majority of the Game Pass users are. It's where the majority of their revenue come from. The store where they sell the most of their games and the DLC and microtransactions. I don't think you can cut that completely off as quickly as they may want, because I do feel that this next Xbox, which is being made by them, is their last one.
I feel that as well.
And they'll probably have like Acer and other ones make OEM ones that probably focused on like outside the US, because that's where Xbox is typically the strongest within the US. But I don't think you could just, because I think if you just remove it, I think it just removes unless you were just planning on, all right, you know what, we're winding everything down, then sure, okay, you could probably do it at that point. But that's why I don't really, when people started like saying, oh, they're not making another console, it's like, well, no, they have to. They have to make another console because it may not be the priority in Microsoft when they look at like, where do we want to grow? It's PC, it's mobile. Console they feel is tapped out. But right now, console's like where the majority of their revenue comes from. So you can't just axe that completely right now.
Well, right now, only because of ABK, Rand. Without ABK, they would have exited the game.
That would have been even true without ABK.
But without ABK, do you really think that they weren't even third place?
Who knows what Satya would have done
with AI,
with or without it?
How aggressively they're just turfing everyone for AI.
Well, Xbox if they didn't buy ABK, then the money would have been there for them potentially to buy outright OpenAI instead of partnering with them potentially, right? Mm-hmm. And that would have solved some of their problems.
And killed.
I mean, you're right. Satya is a guy that's like, we either go big or go home, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's one of those things what we'll never know for true. And I think the people that posit that like Xbox exists only because ABK exists or ABK is making them exist, I think it's an interesting argument to because I don't think it can be disproven, because I do think there is some merit to that argument. Mm-hmm. I would love to just be able to view in the multiverse of a world where they didn't buy ABK just to see what was happening. If everything was still the same,
yeah, I'd love
the
to
only
see that.
difference was they didn't buy ABK, and see how it all ended up being. Because I do think a lot of these cuts are because they spent the $70 billion. They pivoted the multi-platform because the margins were put on them and they couldn't meet it in any way because they spent that money.
Yeah. And
because they spent that money, you're now expected to hit and bring in all this profit like these other divisions. And so we're going to have to cut. And I sort of wonder if you didn't do that, if you didn't spend the money, so the eyes weren't on you, how much of it would be placed upon you to pull your own weight? And would they force you to cut so much because the money would have been there for AI, which is what they're struggling with now? Because remember, maybe if the money was there and they wouldn't have to free up all this money now, which is causing the cuts. So I can look at both perspectives and I'm like, oh man, I wonder what would have happened. It's a good what if question. And so I do think there is some truth to saying like Xbox exists because ABK is there. But I also just wonder what would happen if they didn't, if it would have been as bad as this, or if something else would have, ended up changing. Yeah. It's a good discussion to have because I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. Either way, I know you feel that way, but I know Jez feels that way.
I'm quite confident in that, but obviously I don't have the workings of it. I'm not, you know, I'm not there in those board meetings, so I have no idea. But for me, I'm pretty sure, like,
And it's,
I can't see
it's
it
funny
any other way.
because ABK was only a purchase of opportunity.
Yeah.
If those lawsuits didn't happen and all that stuff, their stock price never would have went down.
Yep.
To be able to buy them.
Yep.
And because of how at that point in time in 2021 and 2020 with the pandemic,
boom.
everything
Yeah.
was on the upswing.
Yep.
And Xbox was doing incredibly well. The consoles were flying off the shelves. Everyone they make, people were buying.
Yep.
Game Pass was exploding in growth thanks to Bethesda and other stuff. So they were like, oh, if we make this purchase, bro, we got in the bag. We got Call of Duty. That's going to grow Game Pass. We got Blizzard for PC. We got mobile with King. It, you know, check mark. And it only happened because Kotick and how he basically destroyed Activision's business and the stock price and stuff. So it's all just like a happy accident, but then it's kind of, you're also saying it's a happy accident, but that's the only reason they're still even around, was this happy accident of all these scenarios leading into this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what if ABK didn't, or, you know, what if ABK didn't have those lawsuits and that stock price wasn't cut in half?
It could be
If
a different
Xbox
conversation.
didn't buy them, would Satya just look at it and be like, nah, we're done, son. We're cutting you out.
Yeah, me and you may be co-hosting What's Up PlayStation podcast, and which might still be alive if that happened. It's a domino effect of events, no? Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Like, you know, it is. That's why it's an interesting one. And King wasn't safe. The mobile division wasn't safe either, so they got massive cuts. So overall, Xbox is now around in a stage where the complete turnaround situation. No one understands or believes Phil Spencer. Not a word comes out of his mouth. There'll be more. A cloud hangs over Xbox in terms of what is going to happen next. You may assume that they will tighten the processes, be more efficient, and deliver more games. I am not gonna vouch for Xbox in doing that. You mentioned an interesting point that they haven't actually culled anyone from hardware, because a lot of ponies were talking about they're going to kill hardware, but the hardware teams
It's hard because their hardware is too important. You can't just cut it. It's too important. It got the majority of the Game Pass users on it, despite what Zalker might say.
Yeah.
It's you know, all your revenue from all the games you sell. It's too important to just immediately call.
Yeah.
So, and even if they only sell 10 million of them, or 15 million of it, or 20 million of it, whatever the number is, it's too important to just get rid of. Which, when the reports came out about the handheld, that makes sense, because you could partner with these handheld device, and that's such a niche market in the first place, that it's like, okay, we'll see how it is. We'll make Windows 11 better. We don't necessarily need our own handheld right now, but you do need that console, because
Yeah, I do agree.
if you got rid of it,
That's your base.
there goes your entire Game Pass audience.
Yep.
There goes all the people that. So it's like, yeah, they have to do their own first party hardware, and they said as much. But then again, nobody trusts Microsoft and what they say anymore. So whatever.
And I don't blame them.
And that's on them. So
that is absolutely on them. It's going to be interesting to see. We're not going to get any real interviews, I don't think. But hopefully one day we'll get an answer. But Rand, this would have been a very dark, very gloomy conversation for Xbox fans. This podcast would be a very, very, even more gloomier were it not for an event that happened, not even 24 hours after this catastrophe. PlayStation fanboys didn't even get to celebrate in their full swing. Something came out that just knocked the wind out of their sails. And we've got some super chats that lead to it. Very, very
I'm sure you can't wait to talk about this.
this has added another lease of life to my trolling. It was so nice to see. And you know, I'm such a little bottom of the console barrel piece of shit when they love this shit, and I love this shit. It will never escape my system. Champagne Supernova with a $5 super chat says, can someone please check in on Tim Dog? Ever since the Helldivers reinforcements, I haven't heard him crash out about Xbox. I'm genuinely concerned. In fact, he actually was completely off Twitter. He didn't even say I told you so. In fact, Tim Dog, credit to Tim Dog, by the way. I saw someone link a tweet where Tim Dog knew about the Wednesday bullshit. You know, the week before that, he said, wait till Wednesday. And if if nothing happens, then come back to me. I saw a tweet publicly. Tim Dog early last week, quite a few days earlier, said, wait till Wednesday. He specified Wednesday. So he's a insider, Tim Dog. And I posted a tweet saying, wake up, Tim Dog. What are you doing? This is insane. This is your time to shine. Because his personality is now all things Xbox bad. And, I feel for him because he was the hardcore of Xbox in the Crump side console war supporters. No, what happened was Satya got played by OpenAI, says God Emperor Surfer King. Yes, he did. And he's a piece of shit. But OpenAI, if they're clever, will take back control. But, Rand, so beautiful. So satisfying. They said it wouldn't happen. They said they fought tooth and nail to say this is it. This is first party. They argued with Jack Move. They argued with me. I was even saying, what do you mean first party? A third party studio is developing it. But no, they argued. I said this is first party. PlayStation's publishing it. So I haven't even got involved. I don't even prescribe to the industry's definitions of these things because whatever. But PlayStation is producing this. PlayStation publishing it. And right when they did, PlayStation guys are besides themselves. Helldivers 2, a PlayStation published game, is coming to Xbox and being delivered by a PlayStation first party studio, Nixxes, who are working hard to bring this to Xbox. What a beautiful turn of events. And now, Rand, everyone is asking, full slate? Is it the full slate?
Full slate.
Oh, bro, it's beautiful, man. They had so many people. We had Colin Moriarty come out and say...
Some takes didn't age well.
Yeah, he did. He actually posted that take on Twitter himself. And he's like... and he was so condescending on the very people that said it, which is... Chat, if you haven't seen my video, I uploaded it a few hours ago. It's basically summarizing a lot of it. And he was just like, why? Because you know what the people are doing that for? It's just hopium. Basically, he was just saying it's hopium. Xbox fans want the same situation. And I've got my sources. And this is not happening. It's not happening. Why would Sony do this? Because it would invite all sorts and open the floodgates for all manner of conversations. It's not happening. And Portrock, bless him, went out on a limb and also said, are you serious? PlayStation don't even consider bringing their games to the PS4. Why on earth would they cater to Xbox? Xbox is a dying platform, everyone said. Xbox, no one cares about them. They're an afterthought. So then explain to me why a first-party studio from PlayStation is porting out a first-party game to this dying platform, chat. I don't understand. If I believed Colin Moriarty, if I believed all you ponies, this would be an unconscionable situation. And it is an unconscionable situation for a lot of PlayStation fans because there is a civil war brewing on the Crumb side, on the PlayStation side. On the one hand, people are saying, and Nibs, who thank you for declaring it was a first-party game. Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you. You're a tremendous, tremendous guy. He's now saying it's only gas. It's just gas games. This is an extension. When it was Lost Solar Side coming to day and date on PC. Oh no, this China games. China game. When freaking Nintendo is getting your IP Horizon Lego game co-developed by the studio Guerrilla Games. It's different. But this one wasn't different. Randall Thor 19. The Xbox community got a saving grace. All hail Hiroki Totoki, what do you think of these developments, sir?
Well.
Oh shit.
You would think some of my PlayStation brethren, who really came at me when I said Horizon was coming to PC back in the day, and they all told me I didn't know what I was talking about, and they said Sony knows the value of exclusives and yada yada yada. You would think they would understand never to use the word never in making their arguments about how Sony will or won't do the things that they as fans want Sony to do, because Sony's out here moving a different way. Because if Sony were to listen to you guys, they wouldn't be on PC, and they wouldn't be putting Helldivers 2 on Xbox, and they wouldn't be making, the live service thing, which ended up sort of kind of being the disaster. But that's Jim Ryan for you. Lying, smiling, flying, whatever the old things we used to say about Jim, right?
Yep.
Yeah, remember the reason why Colin and the reason why a lot of these people were poo-pooing the idea of Helldivers 2 was because Nick from Special Nick of Xbox Era came out and said that this was last year.
And what's that guy? Who's that insider at PlayStation?
Tidux, right?
Let me sir. Tidux is a fake piece of shit. He's been on Resetra, NeoGaf. I've been arguing with him. He's just a pony.
Oh yeah,
he's Zubitech. Yeah.
Yes. And Nick said that there was the early discussions going on between Xbox and PlayStation about potentially bringing Helldivers over to Xbox. And man, they did not like that. Do you recall, Gaz, when Helldivers 2 came out? Do you remember Phil said he didn't understand why Helldivers 2 wasn't on the platform? Wasn't on Xbox? And if you know Phil as well as a lot of people do, that was a little sign of things to come.
Shit, you're saying Phil Spencer was whispering in the ears of Totoki? Hey, Totoki.
Because they were in discussions about the game, which is why the reason he said it. Some of those things that Phil will put out there, and whatever. Like that's one of the things that actually came true, unlike some of the other stuff that didn't come true. But he likes to do that. Yeah. So unfortunately, we can't give Nick all the credit, because then Nick also said that the discussions died and it wasn't coming. So
really? Okay.
It's like, ooh, you get half credit for that, Nick. You get half credit for it if you stuck with it. But clearly, the discussions ended up going well. They used a PlayStation first-party studio to port the game to Xbox, which is
amazing,
interesting to say the least. Not only because in the cases of Death Stranding and MLB, and Marathon, people always use the idea of Sony was forced to do that.
Yes.
There was pre-existing arrangements. MLB forced them to put the game on Xbox. Their arrangement with Bungie forced them to allow them to put Marathon on Xbox.
Yeah.
Kojima, because of how powerful he is and he owns the IP now, or whatever the reasons, he was powerful enough to be able to put this on Xbox.
Yeah.
But a first-party game from PlayStation will never show up on Xbox, because why would PlayStation want to help their competitor? Why would PlayStation want to throw them a lifeline? All those sort of things. Why would PlayStation want to put their game on a platform that their own fans say nobody buys games on? All the PlayStation fans love to throw it in Xbox fans' face that nobody buys games on Xbox.
Yep.
But you look at all the publishers in the world, and you look at the fact that all the Japanese publishers that never put games on Xbox, like Atlas, or the Yakuza games, they're all there now. Mm-hmm. All these publishers are all putting their stuff on Xbox. And now Sony decided, without any sort of, at least right now that we know of, any sort of previous arrangement, that, yeah, it's a good idea to put Helldivers on Xbox. Maybe, just maybe, people actually buy games there, and it's a big enough user base where Helldivers 2 could see some form of success, which I think it will, because that is a game I do think people will gravitate to. I think that's a game that people... I think it's tailor-made for the Xbox audience, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It really is. What's his name? The weirdo that clips us. I forgot his name. he clipped us. He clipped me saying, "Oh, I haven't even murked him yet with that one," but he was like, "They're port begging. They want Helldivers on Xbox," and all we were saying was, "This is a title that would obviously do well on Xbox because Xbox gamers are, you know, more co-op and multiplayer friendly. Because PlayStation guys literally just toss off in the corner of their dark rooms with their hentai pillows, playing single player only games. It's a fact. It's a fact. Come on, bruv. It's a fact." So. And look what happened. Clearly, Sony agreed with us as well because, lo and behold, this is a PlayStation first-party title. And the thing you said about all these reasons for why it wouldn't happen, guess what? Colin Moriarty was saying that. Why would they do that? Did no one buys a game? Game Pass is, you know, value destructive. If Xbox gamers are being trained on Game Pass not to buy games, why would they do it? Christopher Dring comes out and says with a very laced comment saying, before he says it's a good thing, he's like, "Oh, it's interesting on a platform that no one buys games and everyone just Game Pass exists and that's not doing that well. But this is good because it's multiplayer centric." It was like, he did that. NXG, same old pony shit. What did NXG go and say? "Oh yeah, everyone's gonna just ignore the layoffs and talk about how a third-party title is coming to Xbox." He's such a pony little shit, man. And it's just like, well, Sony did it. Sony, did they not? Is it a dying platform or not? Sony just did it. They just go ahead and done it. And they used their resources on a first-party studio of theirs to make it happen. So obviously what you guys are saying doesn't tally with the real world because this is what happens. And you know what it does? It opens the floodgates massively because when that Sony exec says wherever there is computing, gamers will be able to play their games seamlessly. What do you think that means? Wherever there's computing, this is it. And the last bastion of PlayStation fanboys is to say this only applies to gas. Now, it may be the case, but you know for a fact Sony is hurting for money. If it wasn't the case, this wouldn't be here. If it wasn't the case, they wouldn't be going to PC. Just a few weeks ago, they were so comforted by, I think, Herman Hulst, where Nibs actually tweeted, "They just get it," where they made the statement saying, like, "We like the stored releases from PlayStation to PC, so we'll carry on with that." And then bam, they release games on Xbox. It is insane. So what next? This changes the paradigm. This conversation, will it happen? No one's saying that it's guaranteed to happen, but Rand, it would be a beautiful thing because I think everything is up for grabs. And there are people that are talking about the titles that they're talking about from PlayStation first party that could join Xbox that is getting PlayStation guys pissed. Before I go into talking to you about what games, PlayStation games can appear on Xbox, let me read these super chats. First of all, we've got P-Lump. Shout out to the homie P-Lump. He says, "You piece of shit." P-Lump, you are the homie. Always vouching for you. Me and you, the best. Huggy, member for 13 months. I was told putting your games on your competitor's platform is the end. So I guess PlayStation is dead. Very valid point. Very valid point. PS players to embrace the other platform, PC. Well, absolutely. It's a dead platform. Who said that statement? It's like, someone did say that. The platform is dead when you do that. So PlayStation is dead. ODST skins in Helldivers. Thank you to Toki-san.
That needs to happen.
That needs
Some
to happen.
Halo mashup. Absolutely.
That needs to happen. It is going to happen, surely.
It's a missed opportunity if they don't.
Aren't they doing like a Star Wars thing for Helldivers?
I don't know.
But that's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. But Rand, this sends a signal that, you know, gaming, the exclusivity that we know of is disappearing. Largely, we are the old guard arguing about timed exclusives. That's what we're actually arguing about, timed exclusives. And this is a seismic change from everything, additive, constantly. What's left? Do you expect another PlayStation first-party title? I'm asking you this. Do you expect another PlayStation first-party title on Xbox? And will it be single player?
Well, you know, some PlayStation fans would say Helldivers 2 is not a PlayStation first party title, Gaz. That's how they're gonna, be able to get out from underneath it. Oh, because I've seen people say Sony doesn't own the IP. Arrowhead owns the IP. It's a second party title, even though, there's a clip of P-Rock out there being like, we all agree it's first party, right? And everybody's like, absolutely, we all agree. Did you see the tweet from, I forget the guy's name, where he like literally tagged everybody at PlayStation and was like, make your verses heard.
You gotta watch my video. William Aguilar, the Temu version of Nibs. He just talks bullshit.
Is there really a Temu version of Nib?
That's who he is.
Wow.
He is. I don't think he's a real person. There's no way someone can exist like that. I genuinely think he's AI or someone's running a script, because there's no way. He tagged. I've never seen that many tags in a tweet ever. He tagged the entirety of Sony execs. And then on top of it, he even hashtagged it. Hashtag Herman Hulst. Hashtag Totoki. This guy's a freaking
reminds me of when they were like tagging everybody at the FTC and the CMA and all that stuff to stop the ABK acquisition. Because it's funny. You remember at the time with the ABK acquisition? I know this is kind of off topic, but
yeah.
Do you remember there were certain people out there that were convinced this move would knock PlayStation out of the business, and they'd have to shut down, like Xbox was going to shut down PlayStation if they got ABK. Do you remember the concern trolls and all that stuff being like, if they were allowed to buy ABK, Sony won't exist anymore, Nintendo.
Yes.
And it's like, what are you talking about? And it's just like, it's
bullshit.
I don't know, man.
Was that Woolly Gamer? Most of it is just crying.
Hot takes and all that good stuff. But Helldivers 2, do I think it's the first of many? Do I think it's the last and the only one? I think there's a good chance there will be more coming. If you were to ask me to predict which ones it is, I could definitely see Fair Games.
Fair Games, yeah.
I think anything that has a live service slant is probably a 50-50 chance, right? They're a pretty good one, maybe even 60-40. I mean, if you're dealing with Helldivers, which is a incredibly successful game already, considering they've sold 14 million copies or whatever it is, and it is a very successful live service game. So you would think of a game that maybe doesn't even need the extra support. It's that game, but they're doing it anyways because they know there's money to be made, and they must feel that putting the game on Xbox isn't going to necessarily hurt the PlayStation brand in any significant way.
Yep.
And maybe that's true because Xbox doesn't really, I don't want to use the word exist, but Xbox is basically a non-factor in European countries where Sony has an overwhelmingly large lead over Xbox. There's only really it's not even really that competitive in the US, but like Xbox's best market is that, and I think it's approaching 2-1 in the US. But outside of the US and outside of the UK, they basically don't exist. So maybe Sony's thinking this will have little to no impact on us whatsoever anywhere else, and it's just we need more money, and there's money to be made here, so let's do it. So I think any live service stuff, I think, has a very good chance of coming through. Like if Concord was still alive, I bet you Concord would be making its way to Xbox.
Yep.
I know what people really want to hear, however, is they want to hear if Spidey's coming over. They want to hear if Wolverine will come over. They want to hear if Last of Us is coming over. They want to hear if Horizon's coming over. And those are a little tougher to kind of ascertain.
Yeah.
I mean, you could point to Spider-Man because it has that deal with Marvel where Sony does pay the licensing stuff, and maybe Spider-Man's already done as much for the platform as it possibly can do.
Yeah.
So they maybe there's a sense of like, we could put Spider-Man on Xbox and it probably would sell a lot of copies and make a lot of money because Spider-Man's popular here.
Yeah, in America, yeah.
Horizon is a franchise that's like near and dear to Herman Holst and PlayStation, and maybe they want to grow that further, right? I mean, they did do Lego Horizon, which they put on every platform except Xbox. They put it on the Switch, and there's even some talk that game still might come to Xbox. I don't think that game's been out for a year yet. I think that game came out in the fall. I'm not exactly sure when Lego Horizon came out, but I want to say, maybe it comes like later this year, maybe it doesn't. All this really does is open up the Pandora's box to speculate for Xbox fans. For any time there be a post about a PlayStation game, to come underneath it, when's it coming to Xbox? Because now you've set the precedent. Now it's not just MLB. And it's not just Death Stranding. Now you actually formed PlayStation Publishing LLC on Xbox. The first time, because MLB was published by MLB. Death Stranding was published by 505 Games. He had outs there. But this is specifically PlayStation Publishing LLC.
And a PlayStation first
So is this a sign of more things to come? Maybe they view Xbox as a company that's like, you know what? We've beaten them badly. There's no danger of, if we put our games on that platform after a year or 2 or 3, there's no danger of anybody choosing Xbox over us. So let's utilize it and make as much money as we possibly can to help our own studios to make our own games. Maybe that's a view how they could look at it, where people were looking at like the other view, like, why would we help Xbox? Why would we help our competitor? Why would we do this? We don't. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Essentially, right?
Yeah.
But maybe the opposite is true. Maybe they feel that even if they put their games on Xbox, it wouldn't do anything for the adoption rate of PlayStation, and maybe they explore that. It's definitely something to keep your eye on, because I feel like this isn't the last. I don't know how many there will be, but it certainly feels like this is the beginning of something potentially rather than the end.
Yes,
how do you feel, guys? What is your thoughts on this?
I think you're hinting at the right flavors. I played Gran Turismo Horizon there. Ponies, it's a sensitive time. Please don't be triggered. I'm just the messenger. But I feel like before, actually, I'll tell you what I feel like before. Let me read some super chat. P Lump says, "I ain't your homie. I never knew you, Pony, but he loves me. He super chats just to deny. It's a back and forth thing. Me and P Lump go a long way. Shout out to P Lump, and shout out to PlayStation. Do you know the broke boy insider? Thank you so much, man. Goes with a $2 super chat. Goes, so Nixis got Xbox dev kits for one game? I doubt it. Well, that's a very good point. Nixis, they're the porting studio. Imagine if you saw the Demon Souls remake in there. Ooh, that would be one I would actually want to play. Well, actually, I want it on PC. Cole Eastwood makes a very good super chat. Thank you.
Cole Eastwood's here? Why isn't Cole Eastwood in the chat, in the podcast right now?
Because I haven't got a 2-3 man overlay. But he says PlayStation put their most successful gas games in years on Xbox consoles. That says, and
they did it quickly, guys. It's like a year and a half. It wasn't even 2 years or 3 years. They did it pretty quickly.
They
Helldivers is still relevant.
Absolutely it is. And that's telling. And I think you're right on the fair games and all that bollocks coming over to Xbox. That and their PlayStation first party. Justin Budrum says, I thought that The Last of Us Complete Edition shouldn't have been on Xbox and Switch too. I thought that The Last of Us Complete Edition should have been on Xbox and Switch. I think The Last of Us, with the TV show stuff, there's a lot of synergy. They've obviously desperate to squeeze out as much. Every time they come, they have a Last of Us remake here, remaster, all is bollocks. So would it really hurt PlayStation if this game came out on Xbox? Again, I don't know. In the long term, sure, the value proposition of the box kind of dwindles, but we're definitely working towards platform agnosticism. P-Lump says, this is why you can never trust a pony bot, you liar. P-Lump, why are you denying our friendship? I don't understand why you did chat. Don't listen to him. We go a long way. He just it's a troll back and forth thing that we do. But Rand, I'll tell you this. Yeah. Just lost one.
You lost your train of thought.
It's a very poignant thing. It's actually a fundamental. That's it. It came back to me. It's an EXE moment there because P-Lump's denial of my love killed me. Think about it, Rand. All this stuff.
I'm thinking.
is actually, I don't know why they've done it. Well, I do know why they've done it, but think about what's happening next. What happens next with the next Xbox, Rand? The next Xbox is going to be able to play.
The rumors are that it's going to have multiple storefronts on there.
Exactly, and that next Xbox is going to have Steam in there, and that's how Xbox guys will be able to experience the full slate of PlayStation PC games on their new Xbox. If you're Sony, you're thinking that, well, the next Xbox is going to be a Windows-based device, a hybrid PC device. What do? Do we enable the Xbox guys through Steam and get less of a cut? Or just release the game on the Xbox platform? All Xbox games are coming day and day. No one really gives a shit about exclusivity anymore. Our brand strength is already massive, like, because we're PlayStation. We have and we're bleeding money. Why don't we just release the game? Older games, they're not going to do day and date, but it's like, that's not going to hurt us. Spider-Man 2018, that would be a nice little uptick. That was God knows how many years ago. That's not being bought again by PlayStation guys. We've got Spider-Man 2. And even Spider-Man 2 years ago, Miles Morales. Why not? Why not release it? Because Xbox guys are going to be playing all those games. They're going to be playing Returnal. They'll be playing God of War Ragnarok on the next Xbox. Right? And so many people thought PlayStation, I thought the same thing. I don't even know this. By the way, I don't know what's going to happen to this next Xbox playing PlayStation games, but so many people thought PlayStation's going to block Xbox games through Steam. And then instead they bring the games themselves, which is beautiful, just majestic.
So you think they would get a better deal? Do you think Microsoft's offering them a better deal than Steam is, or Steam would, or Steam is currently?
Wouldn't they not? Would they not?
I mean, so like the typical Steam cut is 70-30, and I think it decreases the more you sell. So are you saying that Microsoft is greasing their palms by offering what, a 75-25 or 80-20?
80-20? Microsoft have no vision. They'll give 90-10 to get a PlayStation.
I don't know about 90-10. I think they were balking at giving Call of Duty 80-20, I think, at the time. Remember all that stuff came out where like PlayStation, like Bobby Kotick's like, you need to change this or else.
Yep.
So
but Xbox could do it. Why not? Does it harm Xbox? 20% of something is better than 0% of nothing. And for Xbox, for PlayStation, is 80% of a lot more than 70-30 and diminishing based on whatever Steam's policy is. What do?
There's something I did not think about Nixus must have had dev kits then if they're making the Xbox version.
That's a good point.
Are you going to get dev kits for just one game? Because they haven't. When did Sony buy Nixus? Because I want to know if they would have had dev kits already, because they were like a porting multi-plat studio before Sony bought them. So maybe it's realistic that they already had dev kits. When did Sony buy them?
2021, July 2021.
Okay, so it's possible they already had Xbox dev kits before that, because they would have gotten the dev kits in 2019, 2020. And they kept them, potentially?
I don't know.
2021 is a year into the generation, right? So
yeah,
maybe they already had them.
Microsoft Store already does 90-10, I think, says Huggy. Xbox is still 70-30 for the most part.
And the Microsoft Windows Store does it's like 88-12, I think, or something like that.
Okay.
But the cut on console is 70-30 right now. I mean, they could change it, but so do you think this is the beginning or the end?
This is absolutely, it's the beginning. It's the beginning.
Okay.
Of course, it's the beginning.
What do you think is going to come then? What do you think makes the most sense?
Think about it. Spider-Man 2018, would it harm them? No, it wouldn't. And the licensing demands it. The costs are expensive. Why not? Why would you be less inclined to buy it? I don't think it's going to hurt the next PlayStation now, because
I don't think so.
PlayStation guys get all the Xbox games day and date. Soon they will. And they will get everything. The perception doesn't change. PlayStation is stalling their releases of older games on Xbox, sure. And Xbox guys are going to be playing it through Windows, through Steam anyway. So the whole market is changing. What do you do if you're Sony? Serious question. What do you do if you're Sony? That you are desperate to get, and this is, don't even deny it. PlayStation guys say they're number one spot. They're so rich. They're making so much money. Obviously, they are scrounging for cash. They were doing it's so obvious. Now, can you please do not deny that now? Don't listen to Colin Moriarty. They think, oh, they're making so much money. Why would they do this? They've done it. So shut up, lad. So, of course, this is the beginning. This is just the beginning. And whether or not it will be a single-player game, the moment a single-player game from a first-party PlayStation studio comes in,
bro,
all hell will break loose.
Do you know how this has been from like even from the original PC thing? It'll never be a first-party game, because remember it was like Death Stranding was first, and it was like, okay, well, that is Kojima and the reasons, or it was like some other stuff, but it'll never be a first-party game. It will never be a Sony-owned first-party game until it was with Horizon. And if you go back and read Herman Holtz's statement there, it's eerily similar to Phil's statement about just 4 games, because I think he even uses terminology of like, it's just one game, doesn't mean all the rest of them are coming. And the majority of them came. There are a few that didn't hit PC, like Demon Souls remake and the Gran Turismo 7 and stuff, but for the most part it's all come. And even now, then they said it'll never be day and date, and now it's day and date on the live service stuff, but then for some reason it's also day and date on Lost Soul Aside, which is a PlayStation published game. And then with the Xbox stuff, it'll never be PlayStation will never do that outside of arrangements. And now here's Helldivers 2. So what does the future hold in that regard? I do want to ask you this question. How do you feel about the release date?
Same day as Gears? That's hilarious.
What do you think that's about?
I don't know what that's about. That's just a weird date to release it. Which game do you think will sell more? Helldivers on Xbox or Gears on PlayStation? Gears got a higher player number, I guess.
I mean, you would think Gears on PlayStation would.
Yeah, because it got a massive player base.
You would think, but then I don't know. Are they that interested in a 20-year-old game that maybe a lot of them played when they were 360 fans, potentially?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'll be very interested.
The user base is bigger, so there's obviously a better chance of the game selling more.
Yeah.
I sort of wonder, like, clearly PlayStation would set their release date, right? Yeah. So, and if there's a part of me that wonders, or maybe they intentionally sabotaging Helldivers 2.
What?
By releasing it to, well, hold on. This is just a conspiracy theory, right? Let's go down the rabbit hole in this one, guys.
Let's do it.
Because I would imagine there's probably, just like with Xbox, when Xbox was deciding to go a third party.
Yeah.
I know for a fact there were people within the company that did not agree with that decision at all.
Yeah.
And there was split. Like, we shouldn't do this. We should focus on exclusives, focus on growing our own platform. And the other argument was like, we need to be everywhere. We need to make more money, right? There was like a split. There was definitely for and against.
Yeah.
And I would imagine probably the same thing exists at PlayStation, where it's like, if you take away the pre-arrangement stuff of MLB and Death Stranding, there probably someone at PlayStation is very firmly like, no, we shouldn't bring these games to Xbox. And then other sides like, it doesn't harm us. We might as well make more money.
Yeah. So
there's a part of me that thinks, one, it could be a test case scenario of, let's see how well this game will do. If there's any game that's going to sell to the Xbox audience, is this one. And let's see how well it does. And if it does well, we'll consider future games. But then there's other part of me that's like, well, maybe some people in there don't want it to do well because they don't want future games to come to Xbox. So they pick a date that would coincide with another big release on Xbox, which Gears Reloaded is pretty much everyone Xbox is going to own for free, whether it's through Game Pass or because they bought Gears Ultimate Edition and got a code for free.
Yeah.
So almost everybody on Xbox is going to be able to play Gears Reloaded for free. Mm-hmm. So you release Helldivers 2 that same day, and maybe it doesn't get purchased as much as it should because there's competition directly, multiplayer game versus multiplayer game.
Theory,
and then they use the data that they got from it to go back to them and say, you know what? This wasn't a good idea. We didn't make as much money as we thought. We could point to social media posts and saying this is hurting the brand. And then they use that as justification for not to do anything else. That's just a conspiracy theory. Just just another way of looking at it. Do you think that has any merit?
I actually think people will be surprised at how fluid these deals are. I mean, that's a bit of a coincidence right there. And we know that when Xbox was doing the multi-plat strat, that there was an internal leadership kind of disagreement there. There's no reason to suggest that didn't exist with this move, because this opens the floodgates. You have set a precedent now. Not that it has to be followed. You're not, stuck with it. But if it's based on numbers and Sony will be looking at the numbers and is numbers driven, maybe perhaps someone did say, you know what, and maybe announced it and said, look guys, why don't we release this at the same time as Gears so you can see that, just how tiny the margins are on Xbox and how sensitive they are to market forces and whether or not it's worth it. Maybe, perhaps. This is all guesswork here, by the way, but it's not out of the realms of possibility.
It's just speculate. We're just having a conversation. Because if I'm PlayStation, I'd want a different release date. I wouldn't want to release it the same day as Gears. And I know it sort of looks like two friends trading games. Like, oh, here's my game, and then the other person like, here's my game. We're friends and we're exchanging gifts.
Yeah,
like it's Christmas or something. Like, here's your gift, here's my gift. But it's like there's other days they could have chosen, and I maybe get like, okay, you don't want to go too far in September. There's Borderlands 4. There's some other big games, but it's like I sort of question why they picked the same day as Gears, and it made me think a little bit about it of like how well it might do, considering everybody's gonna maybe it'll actually do better because everybody will own Gears for free.
Yeah.
So they don't have to spend any money. So then they're free up enough to spend the $40 on Helldivers, which is a great price. People are just like, hey, that's maybe impulse buy. They've heard great things about it. Let's buy that. It's got crossplay and all that good stuff. So maybe it does really well because people aren't spending money on Gears. And maybe there are some people out there that are like, I don't need to play Gears Reloaded because I've played it so much in the past and I'm not interested in it. I'd rather play the new experience Helldivers. Maybe they're counter programming a little bit. Maybe they saw like a area where they could slide in and actually provide something for people that aren't interested in Gears, and maybe that's the other side of it, the other aspect of like for the people not interested in that stuff and want something new to spend their money on, and they would choose that. So
maybe Xbox want to then push them, maybe help in the marketing of Hellblade, so it induces better sales and Sony and eventually to
well, okay, buy it. So then there's the other thing here where I've seen some people suggest that Microsoft had something to do about when this was announced, and they used it to drown out the talk of layoffs. So they announced it the day after layoffs, so people would be like, here's a shiny new bell, disregard all the bad things that happened yesterday, look at all this. And I sort of wonder, why would Microsoft have a say in when PlayStation published game gets announced at all, really? You would imagine that's all up to PlayStation, yes?
It depends. It seems awfully convenient for Xbox to have this news, and it's successfully...
What if I told you that the announcement was set for this time period like 2 months ago? Would that change your mind?
I mean, what's that based on? You want me to take your word for it?
Just take my word for it. Just take my word for it.
This date was set by who? By Sony?
The date of the Helldivers 2 announcement was set months and months ago, and it was going to come first week of, like in the very first week of July. That change your thinking on it at all?
Well, you just said that if this was already predetermined months ago, then if it was predetermined, then Microsoft didn't drop it because it was predetermined. So
I just see some talk out there about like who's responsible for dropping it. I feel info.
Like so when Rand does that, chat, it means he knows. There's only one way Rand would do that. I know Rand well. There's more to it. Rand knew. which means that this was predetermined, in my opinion. Rand will deny it, but Rand knew. And Rand knows that it means it wasn't a Microsoft decision or it wasn't an Xbox decision to drop it. I know. I don't know. You don't drop this.
How dare you? How dare you put words in my mouth like that?
Now you know, chat. I'm telling you, chat. Because I saw Mag on the Crossfire saying this is a definite plan. I didn't necessarily disagree with it. I'm like, it's awfully convenient because literally it completely overrode this horrendous dark time for Xbox. Not only for Xbox fans, because they've been desperate for a win on this multi-platform stuff, but for PlayStation fans who are literally having a civil war right now. One side downplaying the hell out of it, still hold on hopium about, gas games and is it really first party? The others and these are hardcore Chrome side PlayStation guys who are saying, nope, this is Totoki, don't be stupid, don't fall for it. And the other guys are making the same mistakes Xbox guys are, just 4 games. It's only just 4 games. They're doing the same thing. It's just 1 game. And
if you look at it as a Microsoft announcement that they were somehow in control of the Helldivers 2 when it was announced for the platform, obviously they would use it to draw attention away from the layoffs and the cancellation of games, right? So they do it the next day. But then if you think just on the other side, let's imagine Sony's in charge of it or whatever, and whether it was announced, whether it was planned in the beginning, but also if you're PlayStation and maybe want to bury the news about a game coming from your first party to Xbox, what better way to do it than the day after big layoffs, where maybe that announcement doesn't get the attention that it would have if it had its own week. Like imagine just starting off next week or the week after and it's like boom, Monday morning and you're like, Helldivers 2's coming next. That's all anybody's going to be talking about. But now, I think the focus is on Xbox because of the things that they've done and the layoffs that they had. And the Sony Helldivers thing, for the most part, I'm not going to say it's been glazed over, but it definitely hasn't gotten the attention I think it would have gotten if it was an announcement by itself with no other big news.
Yeah.
I mean, did you also see the same day of the layoff stuff, they announced that Neil Druckmann was leaving the Last of Us TV show?
Oh yeah, that was very interesting.
Interesting choice of a day to drop that news.
And what I found interesting is that the last, what was it called? That game, Heretic. What's it called? The Heretic Prophet.
Heretic Intergalactic. Heretic Prophet, I think.
Yeah, that. He's gone back and they're just doing the writing on it. It suggests that the game is very early in the early
I think
stages.
Jason Schreier said the earliest you can expect it's 2027, and that's the earliest. And you know how stuff goes with development, so that could be a PS6 launch title. It could be like a 2028 game, 2029 game potentially.
Bruh, that means Naughty Dog basically sat out the entirety of this generation.
Well, I mean, they had Last of Us Online canceled. What do you think was going to happen?
Well, absolutely. I've been playing PlayStation games as we're talking about them. Just basically like a commentary of what potential PlayStation games could come to Xbox. And there's not that many. I'm not trolling. Genuinely ran out of games straight away. I said God of War Ragnarok. I had Returnal. I put Gran Turismo 7, Horizon, and I guess I could put The Last of Us. But it's just stupid. But bro, PlayStation's this is what I'm saying. The whole first party stable is so shit. Shout out to 300 people. Smash the like button, by the way. I forgot to say that. Smash it. But I've run out of titles to mention because what's going on? There's no memes here. Ghost of Tsushima, God Persona. I was going to put that in there. Rand. Ghost of Tsushima makes absolute sense to put on Xbox. No, Yotai's coming out. Their sales have plateaued. I'm sure. Would it harm? What the question is, and Sony's looking at it this way: would it harm Sony and a PlayStation's brand or the value proposition of the console if Ghost of Yotai, a PS4 game, came to Xbox? I don't think so. I think it would have.
I don't think so. But
sales.
you would think if they were going to do that, it'd be done, because they probably would justify it to themselves of we could make more money, but then we could also potentially turn some of those Xbox people into, hey, I need to play the next game really quickly, so let me power on my PS5 to buy Ghost of Yotai or buy a PS5 to play it, right? Which means it would have to release between now and October, which I don't think. I mean,
but it's the
maybe
beginning.
It happens.
I think it's the beginning. I think this whole
You think it's
thing's
the beginning?
I think this is
so you would be shocked if it was the end. Like this is like the one. This is it. Like Helldivers 2 was just the beginning of the end, essentially.
I would be. I would.
You think
be
this
shocked.
is the end of the beginning? You know,
I don't know what the beginning of the end is now. The beginning of the end and the end of the beginning. I think this is just the beginning. The beginning of Sony. Look at Microsoft, man. The guys are milking it now. They're making record profits on this multi-plat strategy. They're making so much. And you've got Sony execs saying themselves, wherever there is computing, users will be able to play their favorite games seamlessly. Wherever, read it, listen to it. I didn't say this. Wherever there is computing. Bro, what does that mean? Seamlessly. What does that mean? Seamlessly goes even further. They're holding on to this idea because Sony obviously needs gaming more than Microsoft needs gaming. And they have to make sure they don't hit the value proposition of their box. They still make a lot of money on their hardware. But the PlayStation brand strength is profound. It is leagues ahead of Xbox. Xbox doesn't even factor in that sense in the global scale. But software speaks though, no? And they're doing this, why? Because they need to make more money off their software. So their software is part of the PlayStation brand. It's not gonna harm them. There's a balance to be played. Sure, with PC day and date, they may not do that for quite some time, but the gap is gonna get smaller. With Xbox now, then blurring the lines with the next Xbox being a Windows device, it's gonna seem so weird. It's gonna be so inconsequential. In fact, Helldivers 2 coming now is a gift. About a year in advance, PlayStation has released a first-party title on Xbox. And then next year, or whenever the next Xbox comes out, Xbox guys will be playing the full slate of PlayStation games that are on PC. So this conversation is like, it's interesting. If I'm PlayStation now, knowing full well what's coming ahead, why would this be the end? It's the beginning. It's the beginning. And if you're going to sit there and vouch, absolutely the single-player game, first-party PlayStation game is not happening, well, then put yourself in the same position as all the Xbox guys who believed in the just 4 games and see how that ended up for them. It is what it is. You guys are going to be... it's an interesting ride. Thank you to Toki for giving us the ammo to fight the ponies. And Rand, I know you think this is the beginning as well. Don't you dare try to sit on the fence.
I mean, like I said, I think there's more games going to come for sure.
There you go.
It's just a matter. It's just what games will.
What's the poll say? Is this the beginning of PS bringing first party games to Xbox? Yes and no. I should have done a poll. What games you actually want on Xbox from PlayStation? That'd be an interesting poll. Gran Turismo, it hasn't been on PC yet, but I think that's actually a really smart play to bring onto Xbox and PC at the same time, because I'm sure they have reasons to control it in the PlayStation environment, maybe because of their GT Academy and hackers and all that bollocks. So maybe that's why they're doing it. But it's a gas game, it's a live service game, and I think with what's happening with Turn 10 as well, they would make a lot of money. Gran Turismo's got worldwide appeal, and on PC and on Xbox, they would make a lot of money. Whether or not they do that, I don't know. But that'd be an interesting one. It changes the whole paradigm, man. And I think that's changed. And it's not just Hopium. I'm on PC. I can play all these games, minus Demon Souls and Astrobot and Gran Turismo, and that's it. I don't even know what else. But yeah. I don't know. GT7 got cancelled on PC. It might get revived, although I think the porting effort of that might be a little bit more difficult. But yeah, it is what it is. Jez tweeted 4 hours ago that Microsoft CFO Amy Hood has given Xbox an utterly unrealistic financial requirement that is going to continue hurting the division. This isn't over. Absolutely. They keep doing that. That's an existential problem for Xbox. That is always... You have to keep an eye on Xbox, whatever they're doing, because it's Microsoft now. It's Microsoft's game. like I made a video earlier this week, which I thought was a good video, but I think the audience wasn't very prepared to hear it because I think I dropped it after the Helldivers news. But also, it's Xbox fans, you guys need to be up in arms about what the hell is going on as well. But it is what it is. Randall Thor 19. I think we've covered everything. And
was there anything else that even happen this week?
If it did, it got completely eclipsed by this shit, man. Because this shit's crazy, man. Like, what happened? Every week there's some sort of drama, but this was something else. There was game changes galore. How can you have this cataclysmic event that completely destroyed entire studios at Xbox, entire IPs that were highly sought after, and that wasn't even the highlight for a lot of the parts? It was just Sony's next doing within 24. I couldn't make it up. So, and your suggestion is that this was already pre-planned and it's just coincidence. And
I don't think it was just like,
potentially.
I don't think it was just like, oh, we're gonna announce the Helldivers 2 thing today. I think it was planned in advance.
Okay.
Quite a bit.
The timing was perfect. Because
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine PlayStation has say of what it's their game. I don't know why Microsoft would any say about when they would want to announce it, but
it's and interesting you say that because when the Just 4 Games thing was said, if you want to take Phil at his word, the reason why they said he said, can you tell us what the game did? Because I don't, because the partners want to advertise their games a certain way. So I don't know.
Yeah, and two of those games I think showed up in the. There was supposed to be a Nintendo Direct, and then Nintendo delayed the Direct, so that Phil did the podcast, and then two of the games were in the Direct. So they clearly wanted to get. So Nintendo was clearly like.
Let us have yeah.
So those games are clearly in Nintendo's Direct, but Xbox probably asked them to delay it so they could deliver the news first, so it didn't come as a shock to people that some of those games, like I think it was Pentiment and Grounded, were in that Direct. So Nintendo moved it for Xbox for their partners. Because yeah, I mean, when the Helldivers 2 thing came up, there was a trailer, there was a Xbox Wire article, there was, tweets from Nixis. I mean, it was obviously all planned, choreographed thing between the companies. It's just, so I don't think it was like one of those things where it's like, shit, like it needs to be today. I think it was, it was always planned for that week.
Yeah.
When they announced Gears, that was also a choreographed thing, right? Like,
yeah.
PlayStation tweeted about it. Here's the trailer. Here's the Xbox Wire article and stuff. So it's weird. If you'd have said this 10 years ago, PlayStation games would be on PC. Xbox was 10 years ago. Think about this. 10 years ago, 2015. If you would have said PlayStation is half in, half out on PC day one, but all their games come to PC, and now they're bringing some games to Xbox. And then Xbox was going to go day one on PC for everything, and eventually go third party and put their games on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation. And eventually crossplay was going to be a thing where people could play with users across any device. You would have been called nuts.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, like the hopium. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
So, like, take a view of where this industry is going to be in 2035. What big changes will happen then? Will there be more PlayStation games on Xbox? Why isn't Helldivers 2 on Switch 2, guys? I guess you should ask that question too, because they did bring Lego Horizon to the Switch.
Yeah.
So why not Switch 2? I mean,
I think it's a
do they feel that maybe the game wouldn't do well on that platform?
I think it just runs bad. Maybe it might come, but I feel like Nixis might struggle, or initially there may be some teething problems with trying to get that over, because the Switch 2 isn't that powerful. But or maybe
sure. And I guess Helldivers doesn't run on a PS4, so I mean it's certainly possible. But then Helldivers got to run on Series S, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's running on Series S. It's not holding back Helldivers, thank God. Mario and Helldivers. They probably didn't have just got the dev kits for Switch 2, says Huggy, and A2. Yeah, you're probably right. That might be the reason why. Yeah. And 86% of people say, yeah, PlayStation is bringing their first-party games to Xbox. That's what they think.
Ooh. Man, can you imagine the announcement if the next game is like a single player game?
That'll be the end of the world. There's nothing
You think
left.
that'll be the end of the world? Yeah.
For the PlayStation guys, it's over. Then all the PC refugees will be coming in spades. The console
Interesting
wars,
timing.
anyway.
Interesting timing in gaming.
It is brilliant. It's a brilliant time in gaming. Also, negative time in gaming. The AAA space is a complete, utter shit show, and is gonna collapse. And you know what? Part of me said, like I said before, it needs to. Because
Hey, you got books. You got books. You got stuff to keep your time. You know. You need games. You got Red Rising to read, and I'll shepherd you into other even better science fiction stories. Or,
I'm actually excited because you're an avid reader and I love some good science fiction, so I will read it. Huggy, I will read yours, and then I'll definitely read. Brooklyn, New York already said earlier he's switching to PC if the next one is a single player game. Did he say that, Zach Riley? Oh,
Face, not Face.
Face.
No.
Face. The next game is.
I mean, if Face says that, it's over.
It's over.
If the stalwart PlayStation guy is like, if the next game is a single player game, he's gone to PC. Whew. You lose Face. I mean.
If you lose Face, it's over. His literal tag is free J-dubs on Twitter, so that says it all. And he's right. P-Lump says this piece of shit is lying. No, he's not. P-Lump, you're the homie. Yeah, man, it's interesting. It's interesting. The guy, the crazy guy at Port Rocks Portugal, he says, F PlayStation, F you, I'm done. This is my last console. I doubt that it will be, but it will remain to be seen. Cole goes, why do people switch consoles? It's like, I switched to PC primarily because PC's getting everything. Like that, I really think that's the source. I know you're more of a console-centric guy, Rand, but the future is the source. It's everywhere.
Everybody can play where you want to play.
It's coming. We are witnessing the final throes of platform exclusivity.
Well, except for Nintendo.
Nintendo, yes. Nintendo are their own
Nintendo's the last bastion of exclusivity right now.
Indeed.
But who knows how long that lasts? 10 years from now? Are they still the last bastion of,
I don't know. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees with Nintendo as well.
The thing is, like, man, those Nintendo games would probably sell so good on PC.
Oh my God, they would sell.
And even everywhere else, however they would, but
I don't see them doing it. I don't know.
I don't see them doing it either, but
we'll see.
We would have said the same thing about Xbox and PlayStation at one point, so.
Exactly. Well, especially PlayStation. And they've kind of turned everything on its head.
Didn't Nintendo recently say something like they're going to focus on smaller budgeted games or something like that?
I did see something like that.
So are they even getting to the point where like these budgets are too high? Is it too much?
Yeah, maybe that's a seismic shift as well. I mean, to be honest, they managed their budgets better than the other two, that's for sure. But it's interesting. That's actually an interesting point. If they're doing smaller budget games, what are they? What are we seeing? What does that mean in terms of games?
I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting. Interesting times galore. When you thought the game was done, the game is the game. It changes itself. The industry is changing. And when I said that, this pissed people off. When I said the PlayStation you love is no more of the hardcore PlayStations you like, they came at me. Now they're arguing amongst themselves. That is evidence in its own right. When Colin Moriarty said they will never do it, look what happened. Colin Moriarty was wrong. You guys couldn't believe it. Come on, PlayStation guys.
And Colin loves to tell people when he's right too.
That's what I put in my video. He literally made a video talking about how right he was, and then he does a commentary about himself, like, yeah. And now is there going to be he was quiet. He didn't say shit on Twitter after all this stuff. So it is what it is. P-Lump says, son of a piece of shit, you're trying to ruin my Xbox YouTube career. I never knew you and don't want to know. Xbox YouTube career. Yo. Bro. Oh, P-Lump, man. Why do you keep denying we're good friends? It's too funny, man. Shout out to Sean. And the Griggity and the crew. He's from the Crumb side. And I am so, think about it. This is how extremes go, Rand. I am an extreme, like, anti-PlayStation guy, right? Me. Like, go on Twitter. You just know I just literally accost PlayStation guys just build voodoo dolls about me. They hate me. The absolute daily shit I get. But Dirk Griggity and Sean's group is so extreme Xbox that I am seen like Colin Moriarty over there. So I once went on Sean's playing as shout out to P Lump, he's the homie. Bro, this guy can't handle it. He can't handle the fact that we are friends. I don't get it. You son of a piece of shit. You're trying to ruin my Xbox career. I'm not a P Lump, man. You are the homie. You can't change that. Shout out to everyone. Hazard says, I hate Snickers. Replying to my tweet. Thank you, everyone in chat. Smash the like button. Before we go, we have to say, Rand, everyone knows who you are. Everyone knows outros is pointless.
Everybody knows who you are, guys. Come on. They're all here right now.
I'm a minor little flea compared to you. What do you say, Rand, to all the people out there? And your final closing thoughts about Xbox in this tumultuous time, but also potentially hopeful time. What is it do you have to say to the audience?
Keep it gaming. I don't know. Is that usually my tagline when I close the show?
You absolute piece of shit. You had a chance to say something poignant.
I mean, we just spent the last 3 hours talking and speaking poignant and dropping truth bombs and our opinions about stuff. I mean, Xbox, you know, the managerial side, like, I think you read Jez's tweet. It's just because all this happened doesn't mean it's the end of stuff like this happening in the future. Okay. So I guess brace yourself.
Brace yourself for more.
Just like if, you know, PlayStation guys should brace themselves for more PlayStation games. So I guess the future is ever changing and evolving. It's never static, and change is always uncomfortable for people. Whether it's change in their personal lives or change in their favorite hobbies and their favorite corporations, which isn't, you know, the fact that people love corporations
is mad.
It's you know, the thing is, I only care about Xbox. I don't care about Microsoft at all.
Likewise.
At all. Period. I just like
Microsoft,
Xbox.
the company.
I don't care about Microsoft.
I hate Microsoft the company. Yeah, despise them. They're on the boycott list anyway, but it makes it hard.
No, I don't care. I mean, I like PlayStation, but I don't care about Sony. And I know. I guess the thing is, like, corporations aren't your friends. I guess that's the thing you can take away from here. Corporations aren't your friends because they'll do whatever they need to do to bolster their bottom line. If that includes canceling projects that you thought were cool, or ruining people's lives by laying them off, or by not listening to you on Twitter because you don't want Xbox fans to experience something like Helldivers 2 or other first-party games. The takeaway is corporations are not your friend.
There you go.
They'll do what's best for them every single time.
He got there in the end, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
It was like Andor, where the guy in the prison was giving.
Dude, how good was Andor season 2? Did you watch it?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Dude, it is that was so seriously amazing, man.
It's like
that's the best Star Wars content we're ever going to get to.
It is, and it was amazing, and I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. Star Wars giving me that stuff. You blood-sucking leech, says P-Love. Oh, come on, man. Don't be... He doesn't mean it. But yeah, Andor season 2 was amazing, man. Like, some of the best TV. A lot of people, and I think Jeff Grubb actually tweeted out, by the way. He said, like, a lot of people give Severance over Andor. I'm like, Severance is okay.
I say Andor over Severance. I still love Severance, but I think Andor was... that's like an all-timer.
Yeah, definitely. I will remember Andor. I remember some of the scenes. The writing in that was amazing, man. Like the writing was like. I just finished
Squid Game season 3. I don't know.
I'm episode 3 or 4. I'm not too far about it. But what do you think generally?
And generally, I just kind of wish they only did one season.
Oh right.
Like I like season 2 and 3, but it never hit the highs that season 1 did.
Yeah.
So.
Show Web Dave. No, I don't. Season 1 was amazing. You can't replace season 1.
No, season 1's a masterpiece.
I watched Devil May Cry the anime. That's okay. It's a bit cheesy.
I watched Devil May Cry the anime too. I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't really care about the lore stuff of Devil May Cry. It was a good time.
It wasn't
right?
bad. It was like I like the Limp Bizkit intro. I was like, oh shit, this is a bring. And he had a few more of those kind of old school soundtracks that he brought in, which I thought was really cool. I like his work. He did the Castlevania animated series. That was really good.
Castlevania was that was a really good series too.
Yeah, it was really good. Well,
I'm probably gonna start. I gotta start Bear season 4. I haven't watched it yet.
oh yeah, I need to start season
I'm
2.
a big Bear fan.
Yeah.
Foundation season 3 is about to start.
I've never seen that. What's that about?
Dude, you Foundation, it's sci-fi greatness on Apple TV, bro.
Sci-fi?
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm writing
Apple
that
TV's got all the great sci-fi shows.
down.
Murderbot's ending. I gotta watch Murderbot because I've read the books. Foundation season 3 is happening this week. They just announced that they're doing Neuromancer. Did you not hear this?
Neuromancer? I've got a book. I've got the Neuromancer book.
Yeah, by William Gibson, right?
Yeah. What? I haven't even. That was the next book I was going to read. I have bought that for ages ago. It's supposed to be amazing.
Apple TV's doing the TV adaptation. Like,
oh shit! I need to read it first.
so I mean, they just started production on it. Have you seen or read Dark Matter?
No, I
I
haven't.
think I've told you to. Like, that show was amazing. Silo's amazing. Like, they have the best science fiction stuff in the business.
I'm missing out on this stuff. We need to talk more.
You certainly are.
Especially on the. I didn't know they had that many like sci-fi things on Apple TV. I can watch all this shit. But definitely, man, I will do. That's sick. Neuromancer's getting a TV. I've got the book. I haven't even. My mate told me this is peak.
I haven't.
Cyberpunk.
I know of Neuromancer. I do have the book too. I just haven't read it yet.
Same.
So.
Yeah.
But people talk about it as the classic of like, kind of the cyberpunk genre.
That's why my mate introduced me to. Yeah. So I need to see that.
They're doing a TV show, and they dropped like a little 30-second teaser, and it's like, oh shit, okay, we're actually doing this. They got some cool stuff, guys. If you're into science fiction over on Apple TV,
bro, you got me excited. I might actually watch that teaser and see what that's about. I'll play it on here, but before you get flagged, so because you know what TV stuff is like. But
well, usually trailers are pretty good with it.
Yeah.
Usually you can use trailers. It's as long as the copyrighted. You just gotta be careful about copyrighted music. Did you see the trailer for Project Hail Mary?
No, what's that?
So when people ask me, well, since we're still live, why don't you watch the trailer right now so I can get your reaction to it?
Project
I
Hail
want to see your
Mary?
reaction. This is the book. When people ask me recommendations for books to read, I always recommend Project Hail Mary because it's a single book.
Oh, I've seen this. I've seen this. With,
you've seen Project Hail Mary?
Yeah, the trailer. I just saw it yesterday. It's a thingy. What's his name?
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, and he's just a
Yeah.
scientist, and he's been told to go on to space.
Yes.
Yeah,
Can't wait. Dude, one of my favorite books of all time.
that's
I
crazy.
love it.
Game Adaptation says the Neuromancer is a groundbreaking book.
Yeah.
And
I haven't read it yet, but yeah, that is the label it gets put on it.
it invented cyberpunk. Holy shit!
Project Hail Mary is from the dude who wrote The Martian.
I didn't like the movie The Martian. I thought it was shit.
Well,
and I actually
each their own.
I actually partied with the television crew of it. Who's that guy? I think I've told this story already. In Budapest, Brody House with them, and my friend was murked off his face, and he says, "Oh, The Martian was shit." The guy was like, "No, they did Prometheus as well, right?" No, wait, what was it? Was it Martian?
No, Prometheus was
James
Ridley
Cameron.
Scott.
No, Ridley
James
Scott.
Cameron did Avatar.
I don't remember now, but something. I think it was The Martian. They did something else, and my mate told the TV crew. Yeah, no, he was taking it to me. The Martian was shit, and just see people turn around. It was hilarious. Okay, so I'm missing out. I stopped watching The Expanse ages ago, and I feel like that's going to be absolute ass.
The Expanse is incredible.
I watched it.
When
like
did you
season
stop
2.
watching? You watched up to season 2?
Yeah, I liked.
So you watched for season 1 and season 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it good? Is it worth watching?
I mean, I love The Expanse.
Okay,
yeah.
I need to go back to it. I need to get back to it. They got a game coming out that looks amazing.
Yep. The books are great as well. I think
got books.
you probably
I didn't
like.
know that.
I think you'd like the books, although there are 9 of them.
Oh,
So
okay. There's a lot. I haven't got time in the world.
That's a lot for guys to take in.
Red Rising at the start of it and the Mars stuff that kind of reminded me of The Expanse.
Well, you know, Red Rising is it's gonna be 7 books, right?
Yeah, I bought the collection.
You're missing 2, or you're missing 1 because Lightbringer came out before that collection.
Oh, really?
And then the last book, Red God, comes out I think next year.
Oh wow, there's so much in there.
Yeah. Well, it's so there's the first trilogy, and then there's the sequel trilogy.
Oh right.
Which I won't spoil for you, but yeah.
Yeah, because Zoka
going to be
keeps telling
7
me,
books
he goes,
total
you know
in that
nothing,
series.
you know nothing, and clearly I don't.
I'm just happy you're reading it because Red Rising is great.
It's amazing.
It's a lot of fun.
It's such a good book. I finished it.
I think there's also somebody. I know somebody did buy the rights for the adaptation for a TV show, so we might even get a TV show, Red Rising.
That would be cool. That'd be cool.
Even though they canceled my Wheel of Time, guys.
I know you loved Wheel of Time as well.
Knife in the Heart. Well, I didn't love the show, but you know the books are my all-time favorite. So, you know,
there's
but
some
yeah,
dang stuff to actually watch. What else is coming out in a movie form? There's something coming out this year. Have you watched 28 Years Later? Were you a fan of the?
Not yet. I am a fan of 28 Days Later, or the franchise. So I'll watch it when it comes to, you know, when I can rent it for $5 or something.
Yeah, I might do the same actually. I was gonna go watch it in the cinema, but it's just annoying now. Guys, Denis Villeneuve is doing Neuromancer. Shut up, Tim.
No, he's not. Denis Villeneuve is doing Bond, but I don't know if you saw. They're about to start filming Dune Messiah.
Yeah, no, they've already started now.
I think they said. I think I saw something that Zendaya just landed to start filming her stuff or whatever. But yeah, dude, it is crazy to me where you live in an era where people are actively wanting Dune Messiah to be filmed, because if you read the book,
yeah, apparently it just switches all over in his head, and I don't know.
I mean, they're gonna have to make some changes to the book. The book's not that long, but it was a course correction by Frank Herbert because people took the wrong lesson from Dune because they thought Paul Atreides was a hero.
Yeah.
And people were like,
let's make him
no,
a bad
that
guy.
wasn't the point. So he really overcorrected. I think even with part of the casting, it looks like they're also going to delve a little bit in the Children of Dune, maybe.
Really?
Because
crazy.
They've casted the twins, Paul's kids, the twins. So we might get some Children of Dune stuff. You see Jason Momoa's back?
Is he
Duncan
back?
Idaho? Yeah, he's back in the books as well. Even though he died, he's back.
Spoiler.
Clones.
Oh, clones. Ah, right. I was going to say, was a what? Oh, shit. Duncan Idaho's back. That's crazy.
Yeah, so Jason Momoa's back. I'm super excited. I can't believe he's really doing Dune Messiah this quickly. But then he's leaving the obviously he's doing Bond after that, which is like, dude, that is a great. Did you see who's on the short list for Bond though? Apparently Tom Holland and like some of these young.
No.
It's like, dude, it better not be Tom Holland as
Tom
Bond.
Holland would piss me off, man. Not Tom Holland. He's in everything. I just don't want to see him as Bond. Then the other guy from Kick-Ass, what's his name? And then people are like, he's really good in this other movie, and I'm like, really? He's grown up now, I guess. But what's his name? The guy from Kick-Ass?
I don't know.
Maybe he's the front runner apparently for Bond. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm excited for that movie though.
But with Denis Villeneuve, it's gonna be amazing.
Oh, dude, Denis Villeneuve. Have you seen how many movies of his have you seen? What have you seen of Denis Villeneuve's?
I have seen quite a few. I've seen what was that one? The weird one with the spider at the end of it.
The one with Enemy?
Enemy, that's it. That was weird.
So you've seen cool. Enemy. You've seen Arrival? I'm assuming Prisoners.
I haven't seen Prisoners. Yes, I have seen that. That's
with
amazing.
With Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. Have you seen Arrival?
Oh, loved Arrival. Amazing.
Oh my god, loved Arrival. You've probably seen Sicario,
yeah.
Sicario, right? Yeah.
That's why it's like James Bond's gonna be amazing because Sicario's sick.
Did you ever see the sequel?
There's a Sicario 2?
Yeah, there's a Sicario 2, but it wasn't done by Denis Villeneuve. It's still a good movie.
Is it good? Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth watching.
Oh,
so,
right, okay, I might check it out.
Somebody else did it though.
Oh, right, okay. Well, fine, but I'll still watch it. But every movie was amazing. But he's the best. For me, he's the best. Villeneuve doing Bond is lame to me, says Game Interpretation Network. Really?
What?
But bro, Bond has it's been so overrated in the last few movies, and it needed a Villeneuve, like something serious. And when Villeneuve says, like, he used to watch it with his parents, with his dad, he said, and he really he takes it seriously. The same thing he said with Dune. You know what he said? He goes, I don't give a shit about everyone else's vision of Dune. I have my own vision and I'm going to do it. I know it's the right one. And he killed it. He smashed it so much, it brought it up to the mainstream. And people like me, who have looked at the books actually when I was younger, and the book was calling to me. It was like, this looks cool. This, they have the space worm in the cover, and I never bothered reading it, thinking, I feel like this maybe not is like a classic, but not have aged well. Maybe the people don't think it's that good. Not realizing that it was the thing that gave birth to Star Wars and basically sci-fi and then space and stuff. And then Denis Villeneuve having such a strong... The guy is a genius. The guy I have no worries about Bond with him. It's the only time I'm actually genuinely interested. So, wait, don't forget about the Street Fighter cast. Champagne Supernova. Bro, they got 50 Cent as Balrog. Did you see that?
Yeah, and apparently they got Roman Reigns as Akuma and Cody Rhodes as Guile.
This is gonna be shit.
Hey, maybe it'll be so bad it's good.
That does happen, although that didn't happen for the Mortal Kombat movie, which had an incredible trailer. One of the best trailers
I think they finished filming a Mortal Kombat 2.
They have.
Because I see Carl Urban's playing Johnny Cage.
I just think it's going to be shit. I'm not going to have a high. I watched that trailer so many times. It's one of the most disappointing things I've seen. I couldn't believe how bad it was.
I didn't. The trailers made it look amazing, and then it wasn't.
So shit.
What about Superman? You looking forward to Superman?
It looks like ass. It looks like ass to me.
I really like James Gunn's movies though.
I don't know.
I love the Guardians trilogy. I even like Slither.
Slither? What the hell's that?
His horror movie he made.
Oh, okay. No.
Back in the day.
Have you seen The Witch?
I know. The what? Oh yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
What is the quote? Does thou wish to live deliciously?
I made a Phil Spencer thing when the whole thing happened, and I tried to put his face on that chick. It just didn't look right. But wouldst thou like to live deliciously? Wouldst thou like the taste of butter? It's such a incredible movie, bro. Bro, they have hardly any jump scares. That scene with the witch at the beginning with the stick, and you see a bit of flesh on it with the baby. Oh my god, that was one of the most horrifying scenes. It was so good as well, because it just invokes unsettling fear in you, man. The whole movie has no cheap jump scares, but the whole thing just lingers on with you, and the ending when they just go up, beautiful, incredible movie. That's how you do horror. P-Lump says, guys, you don't know shit, you piece of shit. P-Lump, which is your favorite movie? I want to see what your favorite movie is. And you probably say The Fast and the Furious, which has been signed up again. Apparently there's going to be Fast X2. I actually used to like the Fast and Furious movies around, and it got me into the car culture. The first two movies, started modifying my car, some little Volkswagen I used to have, lowered the shit out of it, slammed it on coilovers as part of this car culture, and then it turned into sci-fi. They went into space. They're bringing back Paul Walker from the dead just to make this movie. So ass. Absolutely ass. And that's going to gross so much money. Blade Runner failed. The first one failed critically, in terms of, not critically, sorry, in terms of grossing money. Blade Runner 2, Blade 2049 failed commercially. Unbelievable.
I mean, it's not that big of a surprise. Blade Runner's not really a mass market thing.
But Barbie made so much money, and so did freaking Fast and Furious. There's no justice in the world. Holy shit. God. 2049 was amazing. Yes, it was. It's incredible. I think it's better than the first one. Way better than the first one, actually, I would say. Way better than the first one. It just does everything. Hits the tones, the messaging, just incredible. Sorry, we've gone half an hour talking about movies.
Hey, man.
And I love it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Extra free content, because we were about to leave. Let's talk about movies and Denis Villeneuve.
And Nolan's something got leaked as well. Sean sent it to me. Nolan's next movie. What's it called?
Oh yeah, Nolan's next movie is The Odyssey.
The Odyssey, that's the one. Did you watch the trailer for it? Have they released the trailer for it?
I don't think so, but I mean it's based off of Homer's Odyssey, right? So
yeah, and I saw the
it's
trailer
Christopher Nolan, so
it leaked.
I'm sure it'll be very good.
Yeah, Greek mythology. Yeah, I think that's gonna be. I saw the trailer. It looked interesting, very interesting. I didn't like Nolan's last movie though. Holy shit, that was so bad.
What, Oppenheimer or Tenet?
Tenet, sorry, not Oppenheimer. Tenet. Tenet, I thought was so the hubris of this guy, just head stuck up his ass. Is like you're just trying to be clever now for the sake of it. I didn't understand half of what the people are saying because they're mumbling, and you just couldn't hear anything, and none of it made sense.
Yeah, Tenet was. I was pretty disappointed in that movie.
Yeah,
and Christopher Nolan has made some of my favorite movies like Dark Knight and Inception and Memento. I don't know if you've seen Memento or
that was the first one I saw.
God, what's the Prestige? Have you seen The Prestige? Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman about the dueling magicians.
No, I haven't seen that.
Dude, you haven't seen The Prestige? You need to watch that tonight.
Prestige. Oh shit! So I was.
You never seen The Prestige?
Nah. Shit.
Dude, that is a much watch.
Oh shit. CC says I heard 28 years is pretty bad. A lot of people are very Marmite on 28 years later, by the way. It's very different for the first two, apparently.
Apparently 2's not canon to that film.
What?
Well, because I don't think Alex Garland or the director, I don't think they had anything to do with 28 days later or 28 weeks later. So I remember reading something that it's non-canon to their movie, so
oh, that's
I don't know.
Shit.
I have no idea.
Well,
I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know for sure.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Shit, The Prestige. I have so much Foundation, Neuromancer, Prestige, Dark Matter, Project Hail Mary. Oh, that's not come out yet, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, Project Hail Mary is next year.
Oh shit, we've got some good stuff, man. It's a good time for sci-fi. Or a good time for gaming. Well, not AAA gaming. But yeah, interesting. What else? What else I've been watching? I watched the series. Americans will know. I don't. English people won't. Which is Eastbound and Down, which I binged that. I thought it was hilarious.
The HBO show.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah. Really funny show.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It's just so over the top. It was really hilarious. That's it. I haven't really watched that much. Oh, I need to watch. Have you seen the new Predator movie? The
animated one?
Yeah.
I've not watched it yet. No.
People are saying it's amazing. It's like probably the best Predator.
Dude, I can't wait for the Alien TV show in August. Alien Earth.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That looked crazy. Have you seen the trailer? People didn't get it. The comments were split on the trailer, but they were like, "Can I play it? Let me see. I'll try and play it." But I thought it was one of the best trailers I've seen, and the people are going to watch them like, Gaz, what are you talking about? But I want to get the right one. The official trailer. Oh god, no, this is the football. I'll pull this up anyway. But there was one trailer that they did where it was just the life cycle of the new necromancer. I was going to say thingy. What's it called? Xenomorph. And it was just guts. It was just meat. It was just flesh, and it looks amazing. But this bro, I only watched Alien Romulus like 2 weeks ago, and that was brilliant. I thought that was amazing. Like initially I was like, oh, young cast, how are they gonna sell it? No, man, they killed it. It was have you seen Romulus?
Yes, I've seen Romulus. They're doing a sequel as well, Alien Romulus 2.
What happened at the? It's not a spoiler, I guess, but oh yeah.
I mean, what happened? What happened at the end?
Yeah.
What with the? Have you seen Prometheus?
Yeah.
So you know what happened at the end.
Wait, what?
Are you? What do you? When you say the end of Alien Romulus, what are you talking about? You're talking about the.
Hold on a minute. What's that got to do with Prometheus?
The black goo from Prometheus. The building blocks of everything.
No,
that's
wait.
the whole point.
No, wait. Hold on a minute.
Why do you think it looks the way it looked?
You're saying Romulus was a prequel to Prometheus?
No. Romulus isn't a prequel to Prometheus, but they brought elements of Prometheus into the movie, namely the black tar substance that they find that they used to inject into the rats and then used on the pregnant lady.
Yeah.
So they took, because those weren't in the Alien movies. That was specifically Prometheus and like Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
So they brought it into Romulus.
I loved that because Prometheus, yeah. There's some, like, I know it was up and down like with it, but I loved the whole story of Prometheus, just the whole the pre-civilization, and how, what's that guy's name, the robot, his name is
David.
Yeah, David was amazing, and then he drops those basically nukes on this civilization. Insane.
The engineers, yeah.
The engineers were such an incredible thing.
Do you know? I don't know if you know this, but do you know why they were going to send a ship to destroy humanity? Like that whole point. Remember, because they sent them. They remember because they found the engineer and they were like, the engineers created us, right? They created the world.
Yep.
But then they decided to destroy us. And they said like, 2,000 years ago, whatever. It's because they killed Jesus, and Jesus was an engineer. You never heard this stuff before?
Are you talking about, man? Wait, hold on. When did the premiere? So you're saying the engineers came in to destroy planet Earth?
No, so the engineers created human civilization, right?
Yeah.
Because that's why Wayland was looking for his creator, right? That whole creator created
with
aspect
the caves
of it, right?
and the stuff.
Right. Yep. And when you watch the movie, there's sequences about like the holograms that were showing what was happening at the time, and they were talking about how this is a hologram from like 2,000 years ago, or something was happened where they decided that they wanted to destroy humanity, and they were getting ready to go into their ship and then bomb humanity out of existence.
Yeah.
And people put it together that like, oh, what event happened 2,000 years ago? And it was like the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. So in the alien lore, Jesus Christ was an engineer that the engineers sent, and then humanity killed him. So then the engineers wanted to just just Google it.
Oh my god!
It's like a whole thing. Like, so like Jesus Christ was an engineer, and they killed him. So like the engineers were going to come back to Earth and wipe out humanity. Yeah, Google it. I'm not making this up, Gaz.
That's crazy. What? That's amazing. Holy, I didn't even. I'm gonna Google this after. That's gonna be that's incredible.
I remember when people started like figuring it out, they're like, "What?" But yeah, it's all there. There's. It's not something you really think about, but.
Damn. That's crazy, man. I need to. There's so much of that lore, that lore element. I feel like there's a little bit more untapped in there that I really want to see, because the first Alien movie, like years ago, for no reason. One of
the greatest science fiction, greatest horror movies ever made.
Yeah, incredible. And for some reason, I don't know why, this is purposeful or not. It's a movie about xenomorph, incredible design, Geiger-esque. They really
man in a suit, right? Big guy in a latex suit.
Yeah, like, yeah, that was hilarious. But in the first movie, they visit the planet, and you see that superstructure. It's like a telescope with a Prometheus, like kind of fossil.
With the ship, right?
Yeah, with the ship.
Oh no, with the dude in the ship.
The dude in the ship with the massive freaking man cannon.
And then they have the people climb up it. That they actually use Ridley Scott's children for scale, so they're actually like kids, not like real size adults.
Oh really?
So to make it look bigger in perspective, because you think those people are like full size humans when they're actually like 5-year-old kids, so they're not tall. Yeah.
That's wicked.
I was really into at one point like some of the alien lore stuff and the Predator lore and all that cool stuff because they're conjoined universes. There's even some suggestions in the new Alien Earth movie that Predator is going to make an appearance in it because the new Predator movie has a android from the Weyland-Yutani in it.
Oh, does it?
Ellie Fanning's character is an android from Weyland-Yutani. Yeah.
I just feel like the Predator things kind of cheapens that Alien. I think Alien's more refined as a series, and then you bring the Predator. Predator is more. It kind of cheapens.
Well, I mean, they're in the the comics. Have you ever seen any of the comics of the Predators versus Alien stuff?
No.
No.
No. I need to check that out. You know what I'm really excited for this year though?
What?
Tron, Ares.
Oh, I love dude. That the '80s movie was one of my favorite movies. And say what you will about Tron.
Legacy.
One
of the
the
best.
Music is so banging in that. Oh,
what do you mean? Say what you want about Tron Legacy is incredible. It's like
Tron. No, I really like the movie, but dude, the music.
The music is incredible. The music is. Lord. Daft Punk are insane. It's basically a long music video, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I watched it again just like last week. It was just like.
So this new one's Tron Ares. I'm not the biggest fan of Jared Leto. So
yeah, he's getting a bit stale in his over appearances, I think, but they recognize the importance of the soundtrack because they've got Thingy doing it. What's it? Who's doing the soundtrack for Tron Ares? Is a rock?
Nine Inch Nails.
Nine Inch Nails, yeah.
So it's gonna be a great soundtrack.
Yeah, very different to Daft Punk, but I'll be interested to see what they do. I love the designs there. It just. Well, it depends on the story. Is it continuation of Tron?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, right. So Clues kind of figured his way into the planet because that's what happened with Tron Legacy. He was trying to get an army to invade, and this is the invasion. And I wanted to see that, but this is going to be epic. I hope they smash it out of the park, man. It just visually. I watched Tron Legacy again. It's aged so well. It's so good. The soundtrack is incredible. One of the best soundtracks ever, man.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend was literally in Paris, had a flat apartment or flat, whatever, right next to the Daft Punk guy. I was like, bro, you're so lucky. Talk to him. My friend's a bit of a celebrity now in Paris. He's the voice of Luigi, and he did the Pokemon names, and he just signs cards and gets a shit ton of money for signing cards.
Hey.
His name is Julian Bardakov.
That's great.
Check him out. He's been on the show. What else is there? There's not much. Well, what else? I don't know. There's quite a lot of shit. But yeah, man. I like movie chat. I feel like I need to have a permanent
movie TV chat. Yeah.
But then,
well, you got to actually get people on there to actually watch that stuff. Like not Code Eastwood, because
Code
he'll tell you about the Rookie.
What's the Rookie?
I don't know, TV show. I think he watched or whatever, but
yeah, Colt doesn't know about maybe shit Colt or books. I think he bought the book though.
What, he bought Red Rising?
Yeah, he bought Red Rising.
So if I go on and on about these books, nobody listens to me, but because Gaz says it's good, suddenly everybody listens to Gaz. Okay.
It's because you read so much that when I said it, it made him.
You know how many books I've read this year so far?
How many?
49.
What?
So far this year. Yeah.
49?
Yeah, 49. I've beaten I think 20 games so far this year.
20 games and 49 books?
Yep.
We're living the life, man. Living the life.
I mean, I can read pretty fast. So
I'm a pretty fast reader as well, but 49
and a lot of some of those books are 300, 400 pages, which are just like super easy to do. Like when I started reading as a high school, when I started reading like the fantasy epics, like a book to me wasn't a book unless it was like 700, 800, 900 pages. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a true, like thing you could lose yourself in.
Yeah. I used to miss those.
Because I've been trying to broaden my horizons because my favorite genre is fantasy and science fiction. I do love me horror, so I've been reading a lot more horror stuff. Okay. I've kind of also branched out and started reading more crime stories, more thrillers, more mysteries. So every month I usually pick one of each category. I read a fantasy book, I read a science fiction book, I read a thriller book, I read a horror book. So I'm not just reading one thing, because then the tropes of the genres can kind of become overwhelming. So I kind of keep it fresh
That's
by
a good point. Good shout.
by reading different genres and stuff. So
That's actually a good
yeah.
point. Yeah, it might happen with me as well. The tropes of the genres get a little bit too samey.
You want a good horror book? A book that will make you look at food a different way, will make you think of things differently. I got one of my buddies to read this, and it disgusted him, but he loved it. You ready
Definitely.
for this?
Yeah, what's it called?
Called The Troop.
The Troop? Doesn't sound like anything about food. But okay.
By Nick Cutter.
Okay. That sounds
Read this,
interesting.
guys. You will be disgusted, but you won't be able to look away. And I guarantee you afterwards, you'll be like, I'm never going to look at food or any of this stuff ever again the same. It's so good, bro.
It's not vegan propaganda, is it? Like,
No.
No, it's not.
No.
Okay.
But bro, like, whoo. Like, you
That's
read that
interesting.
stuff, I can't wait. Body horror is some good stuff there.
That's wicked, man. I like how broaden your horizons there with different types of books. And I feel like if I assuming I carry on reading the Red Rising series of
You
whatever
should, because it only gets better.
yeah, it is getting better. It's just getting better and better and better. I've already read. I'm like in chapter 3 or whatever on the second book, and I'm like, so much is happening. I was like, what can they do? I thought they would kind of go, fall into the little trappings there. And I'm not going to ruin the book for everyone, but it changes so much. So do check out Red Rising. You might think, oh, this is kind of like this movie, but without saying it too much, it changes completely in the second one. They really you could make a good game out of this. You could make a wicked game. I don't know if you know the lore of it, but the different houses and stuff. Well, actually, no, you could if you're not.
I really think it could. Season 1, book 1 could be a TV show. I have no idea how they could turn book 2 or 3 or the rest of them into a TV show. It also gets very grimdark, Gaz.
Does it?
Yeah, like it gets brutal, bro.
Oh, that's what I
like
love.
grimdark is kind of the genre that Game of
Space Marines.
Thrones sits in, or like Space Marines in, and
Warhammer, sorry.
Joe Abercrombie's books are in. Like there is some brutal shit that happens in Red Rising, grimdark sci-fi.
I love that.
Love it.
I can't wait to check this out. This is gonna be wicked. It got me excited. All right, chat. We have gone on for this is the longest one, 3.5 hours, and it was last bit wasn't even. We talked about Xbox dying, we talked about PlayStation going multiplat, and we talked about books
And movies and TV shows.
and TV shows. Where do you get that? This feels like an actual podcast. You know when you talk about podcasts and they're long form podcasts, and you listen back to podcasts. The last bit of it sounded like more like a podcast. You know what I mean? Chat. Yeah. Chat. You might think that we run podcasts, so we have like an idea. Oh, we're podcasters. No, we don't think like that, man. We think like you. Like, I wonder what this sounds like listening back, because I rarely listen back to shit. But this,
I never listen back.
I never listen back.
I hate the sound of my own voice.
I'm saying.
So even when I was making videos so much, I was always cringing because I'm just like, who wants to listen to this? I can't. Like, I gotta edit my own stuff, and I'm like, this is awful.
When I do my videos, I hate listening to the monologue, because I know my voice is weird. The voice I hear in my head is not the voice that comes out of my mouth. It's so different. It's such a weird thing. But in the monologue, when I'm delivering it, it's so much better in my head. When I listen back, I'm like, this. I can't even so I'm finding I'm actually exploring ways to make the monologue bit even better, but I need a little bit more of a setup because I've got some really good ideas. But yeah, I don't really like listening to myself back, but the only time I would do it is if I have like a guest or have a really good conversation. So I'll go back and listen to you talk about the movies and books. That's the only time I'll do it, if I'm doing the timestamps, and then I'll let it play. So, and I think I'll do that here because it was really good. Rand's voice is fine. Gaz's voice is kind of bad in my opinion. Gaz sounds like a baby from the Bronx Bodega. Oh shit. Oh man. But thank you guys. Honestly, chat, thank you so much. Thank you for hanging around with us, talking about books, movies, and stuff. It's wicked. Well, 189 of you still there.
Yeah,
I am
still here.
humbled. I'm humbled. That was really nice. And honestly,
I
Rand,
mean, do guys a favor, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Hit up his Patreon.
yeah,
All that good stuff. Discord.
absolutely.
Keep in tune with the septic sauce.
Absolutely. He's doing a better call to action than I am. But do that and join the Discord, join the Patreon. And you're starting to see now, I'm getting back on the content train consistently. 1 video a week at least. I've got 2 videos this week and a lot more coming. I've got 2 really good videos that actually been cooking. And I'm really happy with the editing of them. So I can't wait to release those. Rand, thank you so much, sir. You are a gent.
Thanks for having me. It was great to. It's been a while since we podcasted together. So what better time?
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. And I'm really grateful, man. And what a great show. Honestly, thank you so much. And chat, we'll see you next week. Peace.